You know, I was trying to think of something pithy to start this podcast with, but I'm starting to think that it's just, I think we all need to sleep more. Like, I know why I'm not sleeping, and I know why you're not sleeping, but every time I go to start with these podcasts, I feel like everybody's just like, okay, all right, we can do this.
Well, I'm past the point where when I was younger, I was like, sleep is for the weak. And
Right.
I'm like, I'm weak.
I'm weak. I need to sleep. So welcome back, everybody, to the Sleep Select podcast. You're on Sleep Select. I'm Sleepy Jeff.
And I'm like, who's only somewhat sleepy.
Well,
compared to last time.
so this time I don't feel like it's my fault because I switched, like when I was sick, I wasn't drinking caffeine. And then I started to realize that when I started drinking coffee again, that was giving me a headache. So I switched from caffeine to energy drinks, and those weren't giving me a headache. But yesterday I got a energy drink and a coffee, and then like we were done recording and I still had a full coffee, and then I drank it, and then I stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning playing that fucking Gundam game because I got all wired, and I was like, yeah, you bitchin' fucking Gundam, I'm gonna take care of you.
Make Tao look like a bitch.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my excuse. I stayed up late playing video games.
It's fair. I just couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I tried, and then work was busy, and that just made it worse.
See, usually I can always go to sleep, but the thing is that, like, I knew as I was drinking the coffee, I was taking the last sips, and I looked at the clock, and I was like, it's 1:30. What am I doing? Why am I finishing my coffee at 1:30 in the morning? And then I went to go to sleep, and I was just laying there like, I do not have problems going to sleep. And I was laying there like, oh fuck, I've really boned it up. So
yeah, I was trying to I was doing the tossing and turning.
Yep.
And then around 2 a.m., my dog just was like, not barking, but that thing where it's like the small growl that the dog does, and they're trying to get my attention. And finally, I'm like, I'm up, and then it turns out he just wanted water.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fuck. And then my body was like starting, I call it the wake up sequence, which is just like, you got to take a leak real quick, bro.
Yeah.
And so I had to do that. And then I was like, but now I got to go back to sleep.
Right.
To work in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then it made it worse because I finally got comfortable, and that's when my alarm went off.
Son of a bitch.
And I was like, fuck.
All right. Well, you know what? Here's a cheers to all of you. Get some sleep. It's Sunday night. It's Monday. Call in sick to work. Get some sleep.
Yeah.
Tell them I told you it was all right. They'll be like, who? And they're gonna have to explain it. It'll be a whole thing.
Dr. Medicine told you to sleep longer.
Dr. Medicine. Please, Professor Medicine. So we've got it's so weird. Like, I feel like 3 or 4 months ago, Michael, the density of news just stopped. Like,
I kind of did. I don't know what happened.
It used to just be like news bangers down the board all the time. And it was like after Summer Games Fest, it all reverted back. And I was like, oh, right, this is what 2018 was like. I forgot.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm starting to think that like all the insiders who were willing to leak shit just all got fired.
They all got fired.
They were part of the many layoffs, and now nobody wants to say nothing.
Yeah.
And so there's no longer like so-and-so said this is going to happen.
So yeah, we don't have any kind of theme this week. It's mostly just like weird shit. So we're back to the weird shit,
most part,
weird shit potpourri. But before we get to that, I watched a really weird television show on Netflix last week.
What did you watch?
It's called The Frog. The Frog.
Is this like The Bear?
No.
Except like instead of a restaurant, it's just like a scuba diving school or something?
No, it's a Korean thriller on Netflix.
It's the Korean The Bear is what you're saying.
I was looking at a bunch of stuff on Netflix, and like this thing came up, and it had like the thumbnail was this like really like crazy looking lady with her face like down on like a plate of pasta, like grinning at the camera like a maniac.
Okay.
Like Junji Ito style. And I was like, well, I kind of want to know what that lady is grinning about on her pizza or on her pasta plate. So I started watching it, and it was one of those Korean things where like it was kind of boring at first, but then I got to the end and I was like, oh shit. So then I had to start watching it. It's kind of about rental properties in the Korean countryside, and like murders that happen there, and like what the people who live out there, how they deal with the horrible things that happen. And then there's also that crazy lady with her face in the spaghetti, and she's a real treat.
Okay.
It is one of those things though, Michael, I have to say, it is one of those things where like this story could not take place in America.
Oh, okay.
Like Like, I don't know.
That's for an example, but I'm sure that'll be a spoiler.
Well, it's not really a spoiler, but like, there's kind of this one part where this lady that's kind of a creepy weirdo shows up at this dude's like rental, his Verbo, and she's like, I want to stay here, and he doesn't know if he wants her to stay there, but then like lets her stay there, and then at one point she's like, okay, I'm not leaving, and he's like, well, you have to. And she's like, well, I'm not gonna. And it's like, okay, if this was America, then you go get your gun and you say, you get the fuck out of my fucking house.
Yeah, well,
castle law is a thing in the state of Texas, and I will blow you away.
Well, that's what the insane version of it would be.
Right.
It does actually happen here.
Yeah.
It's just that like it usually happens to like the rich mom who's just like, I'm just gonna do the guest house, and then the crazy person's like, well, I'm not leaving.
Right.
I just don't care, and they have tenants' rights, and it causes a whole set of issues. But depending on the character, yeah, they absolutely will be like, I'm gonna get my gun. If you're not gone, I will say you came at me.
Well, this is like if they make the American remake of this show, and it's just about like somebody claiming squatters' rights and them like trying to lure them out of the house so they could change the locks and like calling the sheriff and going to court. And there's no thriller. There's nothing. Nothing happens.
The thrilling is whether or not they can pay the lawyer.
It's a little slow, and it has this kind of weird thing where like it goes into the backstory of some characters like way more than maybe it should.
Okay.
And like even I'm sure that I'm missing some of the cultural context too, because like the name of the show is about like this Korean parable about if you throw a rock, you may inadvertently hit the frog. And then, like, the frog obsesses over what he did to get hit by a rock, even though it was just, like, a coincidence. And I'm like, I don't even think that even the way I explained it, I don't think I understand what the parable is.
Yeah, I've never heard that. We all know the scorpion and the frog one.
Sure.
But that's a different type of, like, douchebag anomaly.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was telling you, though, yesterday, I do appreciate the fact that Korean TV shows will cast just like a 45-year-old frumpy guy with glasses as like the main character in their thriller. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that is nice about a lot of places that aren't America is they're willing to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. That's the difference. Like, there's no in-between in American shows. It's either they're super young, hip, or they're the oldest fucking person you've ever seen in your life.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
There's no in-betweens. And like Only Murder in the Buildings did both, which is very funny to me. So it's just like, okay, cool.
Like I miss Philip Seymour Hoffman. Just like being kind of a strange looking, pudgy, white middle-aged guy.
He
in
was
a
the
movie.
good middleman for a lot of that stuff. But nowadays, yeah, it's not really that.
So yeah, if you've got Netflix, I don't know, watch the first episode. It's 8 1 hour, well, between 45-minute and 1 hour because they vary episodes, and like it's definitely not going to be for everyone. Like it's a real slow show, and it's not like, it's no fucking Deadpool Wolverine. Like it takes its time, and it probably could have been an episode or two shorter. I don't know that they needed to focus on everybody to the extent that they did, but I guess it kind of like amplified the drama when you finally get to the end of it because you spent so much time with all these different characters. You're like, oh, the father-in-law. Yeah, man, I know that guy.
I know that guy. He owns a frog.
Yeah, exactly. The guy with the frog.
There it is, the frog.
Look, the frog.
I would love for somebody to be watching. Like, where's this frog? Like, been waiting for fucking ever for a frog to show up.
Like every
single Kermit the Frog joke. The entire show.
Just about every episode starts with like this monologue about the whole like if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody around to hear it, does it make a sound? And I was like, well, call it the tree. Like, I don't know why.
Just making up different ones as it goes on.
They mentioned the frog parable twice in the show, but every episode talks about the fucking if a tree falls in the forest thing.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know.
Which makes more sense based on what you said, like a countryside type thing.
Yeah.
If a murder's in the forest and nobody's around to see a murder, did he murder that person?
Yeah. So, I don't know. It was a pretty good show, and I think if you got Netflix, it's maybe worth checking out. It's definitely, I like to, I know, like we talk about how like nobody can recommend stuff to me because nobody knows what I want to watch.
It's true, yeah.
And the thing is that last week I watched 3 bangers, or I watched Deadpool Wolverine, I watched Long Legs, and I watched Inside Out 2, and they were all just like thrill ride bangers, right?
Yeah.
None of them had any downtime. And I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of in the mood for a rural countryside downtime. Like
the rural juror he kept trying to find.
Yeah. It was an urban fervor. No. So it was a good like palate cleanser, and now I'm ready to go back to some fucking action.
I get it.
Oh, you know what? God damn it! I went all this time. All right, I'll talk about Spy Family White Mission or whatever it's called next week, because that did come out on Crunchyroll this week. So
yes.
I watched it a little bit earlier. With using magical powers, the magical powers that I have.
So much to say about frogs.
Yeah, but I got sidetracked by the boring show about the fucking rental about the verbos, people who won't leave their verbos on time, about how the Airbnb makes you clean up at the end of it.
That's the entire moral of the story is go to a hotel.
Yes, Michael, where can people? No. That's the end. That's the end.
What are you doing?
That's the end.
You're really out of it.
What did you watch last?
You just ended the podcast 5 minutes in.
I forgot where I was for a minute. I thought we were done.
That's my favorite thing that's happened in a long time.
Michael, what did you watch anything? Did you play anything? Did you see anything good last week? We're not ending the podcast. It's not the end of the podcast.
I think that's so funny. That just happened. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I watched I started watching the Beetlejuice cartoon.
Oh, okay.
Because
the movie, you gotta get
the
caught
second
up.
one's coming out.
Yep.
And then I decided to rewatch the first movie because it's I usually do that in October, but I told myself I want to watch the movie before I watch the sequel.
Uh-huh.
At least within the same like week or so.
Sure.
Kind of thing. And so I decided, and after I was done with it.
Old.
Yeah, after I was done with it, I was like, you know what? It's been a long time since I've seen the cartoon, because people keep posting the intro to the cartoon.
Yeah.
Because the second intro is actually like this really gorgeous, like very spooky looking intro, and then where the first intro is more of a Saturday morning-y, like with some spooks to it, but not as much as the second intro.
Yeah.
And I just decided, where can I find this show to watch? And I found that the entire thing is on Tubi.
Oh, okay.
It's about 4 seasons long, and it takes place technically after the movie, but its own. The reason I say its own timeline is because the Maitlands don't exist in this thing.
Yeah.
And Lydia and Beetlejuice are best friends.
Right.
and also they the parents don't know about them hanging out.
Yeah.
And so she just hangs out with him, and he lives in a place called the Netherworld, because they can't say Netherworld, I guess, due to censors, I guess.
Copyright infringement.
And so he just lives in this world where that's like. It's kind of like as if the entire it's just an afterlife area kind of thing, like a spooky afterlife like world that he lives in. He has like neighbors that's like a French skeleton guy, a beast guy, a dancing spider lady, and he just goes on wacky adventures involving Lydia that involve like sometimes mundane shit where they're just like, hey, there's a leak that's broken, or a pipe's broken, and he's like, I'll fix it with these tools that are like alive, but like I talk shit about them, so they try to beat me up,
right? Kind
of thing, or and then range to like other things where it's just like, I'm trying to babysit so I can buy Lydia a present for our anniversary as friends.
Right.
But he keeps calling her babe, which is really weird.
All of the weird, like, I'm gonna marry and potentially do some really bad stuff to this like 17-year-old girl is kind of like just. But the show, don't think about it.
But the show makes her seem even younger than that.
Sure.
And so it's even weirder because of it. And he also like he's also different than he is in the movie, not because he's not a giant pervert, but because he works in a weird way where like if he says specific like puns or metaphors that his body will just do it. Yeah. Like if he says like just don't lose your head, his head will just pop the fuck off. Sure. Or if he's like I feel like a kid, he'll turn into a baby. Yeah. Kind of thing. And he has no control over that for some reason. And so it's just this like fun little Saturday morning cartoon. Like it's definitely something because I did watch it as a kid, but it's definitely something I could see myself watching again as a kid. Whereas an adult, I'm like, this is just fascinating because I just watched a movie where he's like a terrible, terrible person. Yeah. And this show's like, well, if you lie, that's bad, Lydia, kind of thing. It's just really funny because of it.
But it's part of that whole like the whole like Saturday morning cartoons based on popular movies that like have very little to do with the movies. Like, I don't know, Real Ghostbusters, like,
Well, that one, like, at least tries to be what it is.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But, you know, there was like a Back to the Future show. And
There
like,
was, and that one does not hold up if anybody's wondering.
The Rambo show,
Yes.
where they get into like wacky hijinks every week.
RoboCop got 2 shows.
Yep, RoboCop show. And it's just like, hey, kids, you like this? Let's do it as a Saturday morning cartoons. And I always remember them not being very good. Like, even Beetlejuice, I remember watching it and being like, man, give me that shit that was made for me, not this like weird thing.
Well, there's episodes that are like, you guys are legitimately trying to do something fun.
Yeah.
But there's plenty, like I said, there's an episode where Lydia has like a skunk that she found, and she's like, I'm trying to hide it from my parents, and he's like, well, let's hide it in my house. And he keeps lying about shit, and then these like otherworldly skeletons pop out of his closet.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, every time you lie, a skeleton is made in your closet. And I have a shit ton of lies. So, well, to make them go away, you got to tell the truth, Beetlejuice. Like, well, I don't want to tell the truth. And then so the entire moral is like, you got to tell the truth, Beetlejuice. So it's just like, well, that's fucking lame.
Yeah.
But then there's an episode where it's just like, hey, I'm gonna do this Halloween party where we also are gonna get revenge on the bully character. That's actually kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go back into one where it's just like, well, you got to learn your lesson, Beetlejuice. And you're just like, this is fucking weird, because I just saw him try to molest many people.
Yeah.
When I watched the movie, so like, and he also keeps calling her babe, and I don't know how to feel about this.
I don't want Beetlejuice to become a better person. I'm just gonna put my flag down and say, like, I want a battle juice. Like, I don't want good old juice.
So it'll be funny to watch the movie and be like, have him go back to be a psychopath.
Yeah.
But I heard that it turns out there's a Beetlejuice musical. I didn't know about this.
Yep.
But
It's a big thing.
It turns out the part of the musical was inspired by the cartoon, so there's a couple songs that are like based on that idea. Mm-hmm. So they're like, but in a way that will mix it to like not seem out of place.
I also
do appreciate.
I also don't like that because, you know, they had to cast like a Broadway actor to be Beetlejuice, and so he's like a hunky young guy with a bunch of like a cappella songs about being a Beetlejuice, and
That would be weird.
I want filthy Michael Keaton to be like doing bad stuff. Like that's what I want out of Beetlejuice.
Apparently, Beetlejuice was in an episode of Teen Titans Go, because my YouTube started mentioning it. Like, hey, you want to watch Teen Titans Go with Beetlejuice? I'm like, I kind of do.
I made the mistake of watching one episode of that old Saturday morning cartoon show Galaxy High on YouTube, because it's just on YouTube.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And now YouTube won't shut the fuck up about, you want to watch episode 3? Episode 6? Episode 2?
You know you love it, Jeff.
No, guys.
You know you want to watch Mighty Max.
Yes. I don't want to. Well, speaking of Saturday morning cartoons, we're going to start out this week with a video game, a trailer for a new video game movie. You know how well those are doing, right?
Yeah, people love those, especially if they star one specific person.
Yeah, especially if they've got like an edgy character that's making a lot of like jokes and stuff. A Minecraft movie,
yes,
with Jason Momoa in the worst wig I've ever seen.
He looks weird as shit.
He looks so fucking weird in this. He's wearing like he's got like a pink fringy jacket on, and I'm not saying that like he was wearing shit like that in the last Fast and Furious movie and it was amazing, but like here he looks like he's in a bad costume of some kind.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
don't know what they were going for his outfit so far, but it's a teaser, so I'm sure we'll find out when there's an actual trailer.
And then there's that one lady that was in Peacemaker, I guess is where I know her from.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was in Peacemaker.
What else?
I was trying to figure out what she was in. She's in some other stuff, but the problem is I can only remember Peacemaker now because you brought it up.
Oh, okay.
I had one other thing, and I don't remember what it is anymore.
So yeah, it appears that it's like regular people go to Minecraft World, but the thing that offends me about this trailer more than anything is that they have all these animals that are built out of blocks like they are in Minecraft, but they rounded off the edges on them so they don't look too terrible, even though they still look fucking horrifying.
Well, yeah, the differences between it is that they're not Lego pieces. They're more like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a Funko Pop?
Yeah.
Like the way a Funko Pop has they're not like exactly square, but they're not exactly circles.
Yeah.
So there's some roundness to them. And they are horrifying looking because of it. Especially the that goat that they showed early on.
Oh, the llama or like the
goat that like they showed in the beginning.
Oh.
Where like it's like the first animal they show. And then even the pig guys are kind of creepy, but that works for them though.
Yeah,
for the piglets, not so much the normal animals.
And then Jack Black is here as Steve.
Yeah.
So can I?
I don't know what he's wearing.
Well, he's just wearing the blue shirt that Steve has.
Yeah, but is it like a V-neck or what is it? Like a sweater? It's just weird looking.
No. I have something very important to say. People have lost their fucking minds with Chris Pratt being in the Mario movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm not the biggest Jack Black fan in the world, but I'm sick of seeing him in other. He was in Borderlands. He was in fucking Mario. He's in
the
Minecraft.
Fourth one that he's done. Fourth the fourth video game movie now.
What was the third one?
Well, because like you said, Mario Brothers,
right.
Borderlands,
right. This.
Well, I guess it depends if you count Jumanji, because Jumanji has video gamey things to it.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's what I was
Jumanji.
thinking of. Because he was in 2 Jumanjis, but I don't know if
I don't know. Jack Black is he's a rarefied spice, man. I just don't want him fucking in everything.
He doesn't need to be in everything. Yeah.
Well, because he always just plays Jack Black. Again, people complain about people lost their fucking minds about this shit with Chris Pratt, but Jack Black is fine as Jack Black, but there's only so many Jack Blacks that I want to see. I don't know.
People were actually upset about this movie. To be honest.
Were they?
Yeah,
okay.
People on Twitter are very upset about it.
Yeah,
and I found
I
out.
don't go there.
I found out one of the reasons why, and
yeah.
it's a reason that made me, one, I forgot was the thing, and 2, made me very sad. Which was that somebody tried making a Minecraft movie before this as a normal, full-blown animated film.
It was a Netflix show, right?
No, there was going to be an actual film.
Oh, okay.
And it was going to be directed by none other than Rob McElhenney.
Oh,
because he was he's a big fan of the game, and he played it with his kids all the time. And he's like, "Yeah, I was working on it, and we were everything was going great." Because I ended up finding an old interview from him from 2020 or something like that.
Yeah,
he's like, "Yeah, we were starting to get everything going." And then it just died because, for the reason a lot of movies die, is that there was a change in the executive who greenlit it, and so they just let it die. And it's like, wow, that's fucking lame, because it sounds like that would have been a lot of fun compared to the, hey, let's get a bunch of people who are live action and throw them in the world of it instead.
Yeah.
So that did bum me out when I found that out. But I don't care enough about Minecraft either way. I think that would have been a better idea than what we're getting here.
Yeah, this looks like. It's just like trash to me. It doesn't look. I'm not a Minecraft guy. I like Minecraft all right, but I'm not a fan of it. And I'd never once in my life had an interest in seeing Minecraft as a. It's like when remember back when they were like, yeah, we're gonna make Battleship into a movie. I'm like, the board game.
Yeah.
Why?
And then they came up with really convoluted ways as to why pegs would hit a battleship.
Right.
And you're okay, I guess.
Yeah.
This is the thing that's happening.
So I don't know. I think this looks fucking terrible. You know what this looks like to me? It looks like the fucking Angry Birds movie, except it's got Jason Momoa. It's like the Angry Birds movie, and then you shoved in Jack Black and Jason Momoa.
No, that's fair.
And some kids and that one lady.
That got 3 movies, isn't it?
I think so.
I actually like the second one. The second one's actually a lot of fun.
I don't know. This is seems like it's going to be a Titanic. I don't know. It could be a failure.
Well, the thing is that this is clearly made more for the kids side of Minecraft fans.
Sure.
But the problem is Minecraft has been around for a very long time. So a lot of those, I don't know how many actual kids play Minecraft anymore.
I don't know.
Compared to what it was when it came out.
Did they add the Rizzler? Does the Rizzler get in Minecraft now? Ohio?
I'm sure they can make the Rizzler.
Is that a thing?
You can make anything.
Who the fuck is doing this? Who do I blame for this?
WB, I think.
Jared Hess.
Oh, the director.
Oh, is the Napoleon Dynamite guy?
Yeah, he made Napoleon Dynamite.
God, he kept making movies, huh?
He made a decent amount of movies. The last stuff he did, apparently people don't like.
95 Senses. Okay, sure.
I heard people like less of what he's made recently.
Yeah,
because he used to make some pretty interesting things, and then he just sort of stopped making interesting things.
Who's writing it? Screenplay by Chris Bowman, Hubble Palmer, Masterminds Cafe. Okay, so they're
stuff I've never heard of.
The Sasquatch Gang. Okay.
This movie's gonna be bad.
He was an actor in the he wasn't a writer for Sasquatch Game. He wrote Masterminds.
Oh, I don't remember people liking that film.
That's who the fuck? Zach Galifianakis, Owen Wilson, Kristen Wiig, and Kate McKinnon. along with Leslie Jones and Jason Sudeikis. I've never fucking heard of this movie before.
I did. 2016
crime movie.
I remember people not liking it at the time.
Yeah. Go watch Logan Lucky.
Yeah, go watch Logan Lucky. It's really good.
Yeah. Well, speaking of colossal failures, we put it off long enough, Michael.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it for a bit.
Yep. Concord has crashed. Like, okay, listen, I don't like to engage in internet hyperbolic bullshit.
Well, we're not celebrating what's happening.
Oh, no,
per se.
No. But for me, it's like people are like, it is the worst failure in video games. Like, it's the worst like AAA failure in video games. And I'm like, now let's not be too hasty. And then I look at it, I'm like, actually, that might actually be factually correct.
It's factually correct in the fact it's the worst AAA thing that's happened in probably 20 years. 20.
Like the last the most high profile blow up was probably like Cyberpunk, right? But like that
sold well.
Yeah.
That sold very well.
They gave people unlimited refunds and they didn't refund it. Like, whereas this
they forced refunds on people.
Yeah, they're just giving people refunds whether they ask for it or not. So for anybody who doesn't know, Concord was a kind of Overwatch style hero shooter multiplayer thing. Sony put it out. Came out 2 weeks ago. Did some videos for it for the website. It sold. It was a $40 game as opposed to a free-to-play game, which is probably one of the things that has contributed to this. The thing is, it sold terribly.
Very badly.
And that meant that, like, in the beginning, I think so I don't think this is a good metric all the time, but like on Steam, like the first day it came out, it had like 790 concurrent players or something like that.
It wasn't high.
And then it just went down like on Saturday, and then it went further down on Sunday. Like, it had fewer concurrent players than Gollum did the day it released. Like,
yeah, it had like 66 by the time this news came out.
Yeah. And like, I think that there's been some estimates that it sold like 25,000 copies, I believe.
Yeah, that's
but
the current
most
estimate.
of it is PlayStation,
And
I think.
Some people think it might even have been lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody knows for sure.
But basically, like, they came out with this game and it did not sell, and it is there's a difference between like my single player adventure game didn't sell very well, right? Like,
No.
whatever. But this is an online game. It has to sell or else like you can't get a match to get into. So apparently those sales did not pick up. And let's go through the facts and then we can go to the other stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about the facts. The facts is that the last time a game did this badly in the beginning was probably Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
But it was a single player game, so they were still able to sell those copies without too much worry. Before that, I assume it was E.T. the video game.
Yeah, maybe. But it didn't sell. There weren't enough people online. They did some back of the napkin math, and after 14 days, they're shutting the servers down and refunding everybody. By the time this video comes out, you can't buy it, but by the time this video comes out or this podcast comes out, you will not even be able to play it, even if you did own it. In fact, you probably don't own it anymore unless you have a physical copy. They probably refunded it to you. So they are they're doing full refunds, kind of unasked.
Yeah, I heard one podcaster, he had it on Steam. They're like, yeah, they just gave me my money. I never asked for it, and they just gave me my money back.
Yep. And then they said, we've decided to take the game offline beginning September 6, 2024, and explore options including those that will better reach our players. So some people have thought that this might end up coming back as a free-to-play, which is interesting because personally, I was all in favor of like a multiplayer shooter that did not have like some kind of bullshit free-to-play microtransaction battle pass nonsense to try to make up the difference.
Yeah.
However, if nobody's going to buy the game at $40, then like making it free to play, like if you go and look at Concord, a lot of work went into it.
Oh, tons of work.
Like a lot of work went into it. There was
a lot of love went into it. A lot of marketing went into some parts of it.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, because they made a controller on it. They're getting an Amazon episode on Secret Level about it. And I think that's it.
Well, so the thing is that there's a question. The question in my mind is really, why did it dump so hard? Like, and I think that there's like a I don't think it's one reason. I think it's a pie chart of reasons.
I know we talked about this at one point because there's a lot of people who are speculating as well. And the major one is the fact that, in my opinion, because I mentioned this as well off mic, is that there's the main factor is that it was announced, large gap where nothing was shown on it.
Yep.
And then when they finally announced more of it, they announced it was a hero shooter, and all of my interest went away, as well as a number of other people's interest went away.
Yeah.
And then it came out like 3 months later.
But then the other thing, so there's that. I think it was marketed poorly. In fact, I think that like it was hard to figure out how like they didn't have like a big hoopla over the launch. Like it was just like kind of came out, right? And not even in like a really slow time. Like there's a lot of games right now.
Yeah. And it didn't hammer in the names of your characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Like before Overwatch ever came out, everybody knew everybody's names.
Yes.
By the time it was done, there was small trailers for like 2 years almost of just like new cinematics about like a couple people. Just over and over again, and these like gorgeous things. You fell in love with the world.
Yeah,
fell in love with all these things. There were like 2 or 3 betas to the point where they made a new beta just to fuck over Battleborn. Right. And then like they put a lot of work into introducing you into the idea of Overwatch.
Yeah,
and now that hero shooters are everywhere, they didn't do any of that stuff on the Sony.
I think it was marketed really poorly. But then when they were putting out trailers for it, they were all cinematics or like these animated trailers to meet the people. There was very little that I felt was like concentrating on why I should be playing this as opposed to something else. That, and you just brought it up, but like, so I think that there's I'm gonna say it. There's also a big contingency of online of people who are like, this game is woke. They did the woke thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then like, so the game is woke and it's got a bunch of ladies and people of color and stuff, and that's why it failed. And the thing is that I don't think I do think that somewhat factored into it because you have a large group of people online now who are just like, oh, I'm not going to buy that game because it's quote woke, unquote. Like, It doesn't really matter. There's no real talking about it, whatever. Now, what I will say, I'm not going to meet these people halfway because they're generally really angry and fucking, they're just mean, and I'm not into that.
They're mostly terrible people.
Is that some of these character designs were not very good. Like, but like some of them
trash
are.
Can.
Like, we'll see. But I like the trash can because his name is one off. He's got a little heart. I like that. I know all that. But the thing is that like when I was thinking back to it, I realized that like, okay, so the names of the characters, you've got like Baz and De Veers and Daw and Duchess and Imari and Hamar. Now go back to Overwatch. You've got Tracer and Reinhardt and Soldier 76. Like these just stick in your head better.
They're very easy to say too.
Yeah.
Even Reinhardt's name.
Yeah. And then like it doesn't help that the color palette for the whole thing, they kind of went with this weird Guardians of the Galaxy kind of off brand. Like the main guy, like the guy in the trailer who's this yellowy green scaly guy who kind of looks like piss and mucus. Like
it's not great looking. I don't even know. That's the other problem is I don't know half of these characters' names. Yeah, I never even found out what their names were. For all I know.
And so those Overwatch characters, like it was all put together better. And I think that the deal here was that they were trying to figure out something to differentiate themselves from Overwatch by making this more like weird, grungy Guardians of the Galaxy type of thing. But then I think that what they didn't really factor in was that some of these characters are just like kind of unpleasant to look at or kind of slightly boring to look at. Like,
well, they're not very that's what I'm looking for. They're not that much more interesting than each other. Right. Whereas the thing about Overwatch is everybody is almost wildly drastically different from each other. Yeah. That you're just like, oh, none of them are the same type. Like none of them are the same type, and you never felt like there's this guy. You never looked at a guy and you're like, well, that guy has to be XYZ kind of thing. Right. Or this thing, I'm like, well, that guy, I don't know anything about this guy. I can't figure out what his motivations are. I can't figure out what he does in general by looking at him. Yeah. Whereas I can figure out that a little more with Overwatch. Like, there's so many specific things about Overwatch character designs that tell you almost everything you need to know about that character.
it's also
Cassidy's a cowboy dude,
right?
It's like, of course, that dude's like a lone wolf, like fucking shoot first, ask questions later type of guy.
Yeah,
you look at Reinhardt, so of course that's a big fucking fuck you kind of guy,
right?
Like there's all these things about them that you get from looking at them. I look at what was his name, Lennox Greenman, the green guy.
Lennox.
I'm like, he's a captain, I guess. I don't know.
It's kind of a Peter Quillish type of guy. Like
I don't really know anything about these characters, even with those trailers they came out with.
Well, and then
because I would zone out very quickly on those trailers.
And then the advantage to Overwatch as well is it's set in the world, right?
Yes.
So like those characters are from places that people are from, like you can say, you can point to on a map, like
Tracer's British. I know where British
German
people
guy.
are from.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
The Germans aren't made up.
Right.
I know where they are.
Right. But I don't know where Lennox is from. I don't have any fucking connection to this guy. And so I think that and then also it should be noted, there's a lot of fatigue about these kind of games right now. Like people are, think about the stuff that's hit really hard. Helldivers 2 is not a hero shooter. It's not an online shooter. Like Pow World was not a hero shooter. It's not an online shooter. Like people are, and then Suicide Squad fucking flopped on its face as some kind of online shooter. So a
lot of these games, we're in a point where everybody wants to be a live service game, but nobody wants to look and understand why these live service games worked.
Yeah.
They think that if they slap together a bunch of stuff together that are that are keywords, like specific things. Well, we need like a wacky set of characters and a good chunk of them, and it's gotta have the Overwatchiness, and it's gonna all that stuff together. We'll sell it for $40 and people will love it. Not understanding that's not why Overwatch worked, or that's not why Helldivers worked.
Right.
Hell, it's not even why Marvel Rivals is gonna work.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like those things are working for very specific reasons that don't involve the things that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
That are in the keyword checklist.
So all this stuff together, I think you put the whole pie chart together. There's a lot of reasons. Also, is I believe, if I'm not mistaken, check me, Michael. Sony launched this on Steam with the PSN login requirement, even though that proved to be disastrously unpopular on Helldivers.
Yeah, because it was the thing they started doing it once Ghost of Tsushima came out.
Right.
Anytime there was a multiplayer game of some kind, those will need it. Because that was the thing about Ghost of Tsushima. Was like, well, you could play it the single player without doing it, but if you want to interact with any of the multiplayer stuff, you have to use the PlayStation Network thing.
And they just refuse to think about how that's going to translate into fewer sales.
Yes.
Right? Like you're asking for people to make a PSN ID. I don't really care about it. I already have a PSN ID, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like they need to get some people into a room to understand that there are gamers out there who are so vehemently opposed to the idea of this that they will not play the game. They will not buy the game.
There are whole countries that don't have the PlayStation Network.
There's that too.
There was the one that when it happened to Helldivers, Steam took it off of the stores in those countries.
Yep.
Which was a lot of them.
Yep.
It wasn't just there's 10 of them. It was in the hundreds.
Yep.
It was massive to the point where even PlayStation was like, oh shit, we need to keep these people from getting refunded.
Yeah.
So we need to remove that option. So as far as I know, Helldivers is the only game that is allowed to not have to deal with that because of the giant backlash.
Right.
Because nobody was told ahead of time.
Yeah. Because they just kind of forced it in.
Where now they're like, well, now you guys know, so we don't have to not do it. So now you have your choice. Yay or nay, and it turns out people said nay.
Right. So it all this stuff came together. Also, just just one last thing. I played Concord, and one of the things I think was a big problem with it was that the characters didn't have ults.
Did they not?
They didn't have ults. They had powers, but they didn't have ults. And so the thing is that once a team started once the score swung in one team's direction, it was really hard to come back from that because all they had to do was maintain a 1-for-1, and then 30 kills later they win. And it's whereas that's one of the things for Overwatch is the strategic use of those ults will really change a match. They're
100%.
huge. You wipe the other team in one shot with Diva's fucking mech at the right place at the right time, and everybody, it's fucking high noon, and then the other team is 3/4 dead.
Even that one, what was the name of the Ubisoft one?
X-Defiant.
Even X-Defiant knew to have that sort of thing,
Right.
And yeah, it helped a lot with some of those matches that we ended up doing.
Yep. But see, and it's weird too, because like when I played the game, I didn't figure most people didn't play the game, so I want to talk a little bit about how to play it. There was like a whole sub menu that was like a map of the universe where you could go to different star systems, and all it was just a thing for you to read a description of a planet or like an encounter
That doesn't
in
make
space.
any sense.
It's like I spent forever writing the backstory with the intention that was going to like carry it forward. Anyway, all this stuff came together into the perfect storm of like, this game flopped.
And the worst part was even the people who bought it and wanted to play it had a hard time playing it. And I don't mean the game ran badly. I mean that there were 10-minute wait times to get a match.
And sometimes you couldn't get a match even after that. It would
time out for some people. Like, it was bad.
So all that is that Concord is done. Oh, well, I almost got almost through this. Speaking of being done, we're almost done with this first segment. Let's dive through a few of these things. First, apparently, now, Michael, as if it wasn't bad enough, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you've seen the story.
I might know some of it.
People are desperately trying, well, by the time this is, they'll have already stopped. People are desperately trying to platinum the game before it gets taken away from them, basically. Yeah. So the thing is that if you lose a match in Concord, you get experience points. If you win a match, you get more experience points. But people have done the math, and they've realized that if they just spawn and die and lose, that's the fastest way to get experience points. So a lot of matches have now become a thing where both teams spawn and they immediately try to jump off the edge of the map as fast as possible.
Oh, is that why they're doing that?
That's why they're doing it.
I saw the headline that just said people are trying to kill themselves as fast as they can.
Yep.
In Concord, I'm like, but why though?
Yeah, it's because you still get experience points even if you lose a match. So it'll happen where they start a match and just like everybody will off themselves as fast as possible. Or there's also been places where the entire team will just AFK. Like, you'll just join a match and then put your controller down and let them kill you because you still get the points for even losing a match. So I didn't have to do anything. I just joined the match and then sat there until I died.
That was amazing. I love that the guy did like a spin. And if you guys didn't see it, but there's a clip of them doing it. One guy did a spin as he jumped down. Oh, my goodness. That's so fucking funny.
And so, because one of the other things that people are thinking is that the unlocks in the game are based on your level. So if you platinum the game by getting to a level 100, you'll also unlock all of the cosmetics. And if they bring it back as a free-to-play, you'll already have all those cosmetics because Sony's probably smart enough not to reset you back to square one and take all the rewards away at the same time.
That's the hope.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I give them about 50-50. Like, they've been making some really fucking stupid decisions now.
They're pretty dumb.
Let's see. Scalpers are also selling Concord for inflated prices.
Why?
Because you can't buy it anymore. And it's the thing where, like, for 4 days, they're like, yep, if you buy this for $180, I'll drop ship it to you tomorrow, and you'll be able to play it before they take the servers offline.
That's so dumb.
It is really stupid, especially for a game that you could get digitally, right? And get a refund for God's sake. Like,
that's at the time, because again, this you can't.
You can't buy it. You
can't buy it even as we're recording it. They took it down from like everything.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, like, if you weren't going to buy it before, why the fuck would you spend that much money on it now?
The only thing I can think of is that, like, it's possible that getting that original physical copy of the game and leaving it in the shrink wrap, that might be worth something someday as like
well, that's more of like speculation than anything though.
Anyway, by the time this comes up, I mean, I'm sure there'll still be copies on eBay, but like, dude, don't do it. That's stupid. Don't do it.
Buy a copy of Avengers instead. That game still works at least.
I'm pretty sure that all of the people who listen to RageSelect are incredibly good looking and super smart and would never do such a thing. So, I don't even need to tell y'all. So yeah, there was a lot. I've got a story here that's just mostly internet reaction. A lot of it is just sympathy for the developers because these guys, this is their first game. Apparently they spent like, I saw a timeline that said that they spent like a few years kind of like, because a lot of these are ex-Destiny people that they kind of knew each other.
Yeah.
They're kicking this idea around for like, what if we made our own multiplayer game? And that went on for like between 2 or 3 years, and then it took them 4 years of development to put this out, and 14 days later it's fucking dead, and they're
It's
just
brutal.
like, pour one out. And also not just that, but then, like, as I mentioned, with the whole anti-woke crowd, those people are just like having a fucking party at the misfortune of these developers. Like, so
people, the worst people are super celebrating it.
Yeah.
The best people are just like, man, this is just fucked, but it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that, like, because as much as I feel bad about the developers and all this stuff that's happened, it was the sheer amount of things that happened around it
Yeah.
that made it really funny. One is that 20 minutes before they announced they were shutting it down, after a week of not tweeting out, the Concord Twitter finally was like, "Hey, we're gonna do some routine maintenance, and then we'll come back online." And 20 minutes later, 20 minutes after that, like, "Oh, by the way, we're shutting." Like, Sony's like, "By the way, we're shutting this shit down."
Yeah.
And then after that, Mario and Luigi announced the name of the town it takes place in is called Concordia.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, what is happening?
Also, there's this is a tweet that was here where it's like, also the day that they're shutting it down is when they're releasing the new Astrobot game,
which is also
So it's like,
which is added even more,
right?
Because it's gaining amazing reviews.
Yep.
And it just feels like the world is dancing on their grave.
Yeah. So, and maybe we'll just finish it out. We'll just see what else I got here. Let's see. So we got that, and then. Yeah, of course, the actual developers went out and they were just like, "Hey, thanks everybody who played our game. I'm turning off Twitter." Basically,
it was a good move.
And then you mentioned that there's going to be an episode on that secret level show that Amazon is making, even though it's unclear whether it will still be there. I would assume that Blur did the work. You're going to put it the fuck out.
They already spent the money on it. There's no turning back on it.
So
they're just gonna have a random episode gap if they don't do it.
Yeah. So. That's all that, and that's pretty much the saga of Concord so far. Like, I don't know.
Yes,
it's possible if it comes back as a free-to-play game. Here's the thing that I'm worried about. I really hope that Sony looks at that game as a sunk cost thing and doesn't immediately disband and fire all the people who work at Firewalk and just like shove that shit in a corner and never mention it ever again.
Apparently, a lot of them are on vacation now because once the game was done, they're like, okay, we deserve a rest.
Right.
So they're now just like waiting to see what happens from here.
I really hope that Sony doesn't just burn their building down and shoot everybody in the face. I mean, fire them. Like that's
well, the funny thing was that Sony for a while was like, we're going to come out with 12 live service games before 2025.
Yep.
And then, like, something happened.
And they're like, I mean, 6.
We're going to do, like, 6 of them.
Yeah.
And they're going to be amazing.
Yep.
And you guys are going to love them.
Mm-hmm.
And now with this, I'm expecting them to be like, there's going to be, like, maybe another one.
One more.
Like, if that doesn't work, then maybe we'll make another one. Like, they failed at every attempt. They bought Bungie for $2 billion.
Yep.
And they have nothing to show for it.
Nope.
And this is so sad.
Yep, it is. It is. And in spite of that, it seems like they also haven't been putting the time and the resources into making like single player things. Like a lot of people are being really are really celebrating the release of Astrobot. They're talking about how excited they are for it, and that's great. That's wonderful. I love Astrobot. That is a fucking tiny game. Like it is not. That is not a AAA game. That is like they had the assets for Astrobot. They put them together. It's a great Studio Sobi. Like those guys are cool. I love it. But like. I'm talking about like The Last of Us, Spider-Man, like,
so many things.
Ghosts of Tsushima, like the big fucking tentpole things. And it's just like, there's not a lot there.
It's kind of insane.
Anyway, with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We come back. We got more news. So stick around and we will talk about something that is not Concord after this. And I said that we're not going to talk about Concord, but we are going to talk about Sony. This is a very strange thing because the CFO of Sony was like in an interview last week talking about how like Sony doesn't have any IPs.
Oh yeah, I heard this headline because everyone made fun of him immediately.
Yeah, where he says like whether it's games, films, or anime, we don't have that much IP that we fostered from the beginning. And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, man. Like any Sony fan for years has been like, would you just stick with Crash Bandicoot? They're just like, nah, we're just going to let it go. And it's like, what about Ratchet and Clank? They could be like your mascots. And like, whatever.
Yeah, they didn't like the idea of mascots for some reason. Or they did in the beginning, and then one day they were just like, it's too much money to like keep this going.
Right.
And then they just didn't.
Yeah.
And then every time they got a new mascot, they're like, yeah, but I don't really want to. And then it was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you have all these things you could have had for years that people still talk about to this day.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but Spider-Man. You're like, Spider-Man's not a Sony mascot. That's not how this works.
Well, but then the thing is that, like, he was talking about, like, Mario, like, or something like that, because he had this, and people online were like, let's see, Sly Cooper, Resistance, Days Gone 2, more Ratchet and Clank, like
more like everything. There's so many things that you guys have just in your possession.
The money dump truck up to Naughty Dog until you get them to make a new Jack Daxter reboot. Start that shit over from the beginning. Like, there's
so many things.
There's a lot of things that you could be doing here. What was that? What was that horrible PS2 game that Amanda and I played? Ghost Hunter.
Oh yeah,
really weird, like super 90s thing. Like, you guys have some shit. The problem is that they're too afraid to go all in on something because they're after big payouts, right?
Yes.
So they want to like really get into something. They're not interested in continuing to like. For God's sake, Sony, how much? I get the impression from the interviews that I've heard that From Software would be more than happy to make Bloodborne 2, and that you are just not interested in Bloodborne 2.
You won't even re-release Bloodborne 1.
Like, you have a From Software like IP that is specifically yours, and you refuse to do anything with it. I can't even really. I mean, I guess I could play it on the PS5, but even on the PS5, it's not enhanced.
I know, it's just it's an old
still
PS4
30 frames
game.
per second. Yeah,
everyone's just like, he's like, well, we don't have any IPs at all, and Bloodborne's just in the back being like, hey,
yo, what the fuck?
I'm over here.
Right.
I can I can still hear his voice. It's like, what?
Yeah,
he's alive. He's very much alive, and he's right behind you.
There's so many things that they could be doing. They were trying. You remember that was that point where they were trying to get Paramount.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But Infamous. You could make a new Infamous game.
Do so much more with Infamous right now.
You could have done any amount of Infamous games you want. You look at Spider-Man. Look how good Spider-Man did. You want to make a new Infamous game?
No. They just won't. They won't fucking greenlight any of these games.
Yep.
That like sold their consoles, and they're like, none of those existed.
Right.
I've never heard of such a thing. It's like, fuck you guys.
It's also, I mean, like, I want to be really clear here, because I spent a lot of time bagging on Xbox, and Xbox has their series of problems, but like, coming into the PS5 generation, Sony was fucking standing on the gold medal platform, right? Like, they had some powerhouse like IPs, and they had a lot of potential, and as near as I can tell, Michael, I feel like they've squandered a lot of it, and
they squandered most of it. Yeah,
not really any good reason that I can think of. Like,
they don't know what to do to make money because they don't have any fight in them.
Yeah,
because there's no fight.
Yeah,
like they walked into a room with a dead body and a kid who doesn't want to deal with them. And they're like, well, who do I fight?
Right.
Like, Xbox is dead, like, next to me. They don't want to do anything.
Fight Nintendo, you cowards.
And Nintendo's outside on a swing, and they don't give a shit about this.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do?
Right.
Like, and they're like, do we fight PC? And they're like, and PC's just like, doesn't care either, because they're like, we get everything anyways. It doesn't matter to us. So they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
There's no competition for them to make these insane decisions that they were willing to make to get the PS4 back on track, because the PS3 failed for the most part because of the fact that they made so many weird decisions, and now they can't make the weird decisions anymore.
Yeah.
Now they're scared to make the weird decisions that made the PS3 fail.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to make the good decisions that made the PS4 work.
They lost.
They're just like, well, I don't know, foam stars, I guess.
Right.
Square Enix will save us.
What was that?
That's like, no, they won't.
Demolition All Stars or whatever that weird game was.
The
was
Demolition one. Like, people were gonna love Demolition thingamajig, and that died pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then they don't know what to do. Like, there's no reason to make anything that isn't like the trends, but the problem is the trends die even faster than they used to.
Yeah.
So the live service trend was the only thing they kept their eye on, but they put all their eggs in that basket, and nobody knows why.
Yep. It's weird. It's weird to see it. I guess your explanation makes more sense than anything else. Of just like, yeah, you've got Sony and Microsoft fighting to keep them both strong, but Microsoft isn't fighting anymore. They're just buying shit, being like,
it's like, fight back, guys.
we own Call of Duty now, and also our sales suck ass. Like, Game Pass is kind of a blight, and like the console sales are just ruinous. Like, nobody in Japan or Europe wants a fucking Xbox.
Even when they're like, hey, we kind of have a game that people might be interested in, PlayStation was like, give me that. And they were like, here's Indiana Jones.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, at this point, why even bother? You could just fucking like take everything that Xbox is putting out and then also not do anything else. Because I'm trying to think, what is on the horizon for Sony? What is on the horizon for the PS5 right now?
Wolverine.
Outside of that.
Well, that's all you ask. Why you got to change the parameters on me?
No. Outside of that. Like, what else?
Oh, what else is coming out?
Yeah.
That's like their big thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's legitimately like that's them specifically. Besides Astrobot, but that's very, very soon.
2024.
Wolverine is later on.
I guess
the next Final Fantasy remake will eventually happen.
Fucking get out of here with Vampire Survivors, Google.
And Lego Horizons doesn't count because it's part of everything else.
Death Stranding 2?
Is that on everything else too?
I don't think so. Because Death Stranding 1 was like a PlayStation exclusive, right? For a little while?
It was for a while, yeah.
And then it came out on the PC, but I don't know if it was ever on the Xbox. I can't remember.
It was on PC, but I don't think they ever did an Xbox version.
Yeah, boy, the fucking video game industry needs to get their fucking shit together.
The problem is I generally don't know what exclusives they would have coming out that isn't already out.
The best new and upcoming games for 2024, Stellar Blade, I guess, was a console exclusive. Was it? Yeah, I think it was a console exclusive. Oh, Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, but that was an accident, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. I guess that Metal Gear Snake Eater
on everything too.
Remake. Is it?
Yeah, they announced it at the Xbox thing, remember?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
That's the problem, is that like they don't really have anything that's coming up that isn't just a remake or a re-release of something.
Yeah.
Or something that isn't already going to be on something else outside of, like I said, Wolverine is the only one I know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That hasn't been announced for anything else.
What else is? Anyway, sorry. That's
the exact example that says everything we need to know about the current state of Sony.
Right.
And it's the thing that makes you that explains why that guy thinks that's what's happening.
Yeah.
He's like, we have no IPs. Nobody's ever heard of Killzone. And every Killzone fan in the world's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Make a new Killzone. They're like, nah, we don't have any IPs. And it's just like, fuck you, dude.
Dude, I swear to you, a new Infamous would do gangbusters.
Oh, 100%.
Hell, a new Sly Cooper would probably do gangbusters.
The last of those games that came out did really, really well.
Yeah.
Last Ratchet and Clank did really, really well.
Yep.
It's like people want these games, but for some reason studios are just like, yeah, but nobody really wants to buy Crash Bandicoot 5. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Of course we want to buy these fucking games. Stop making live service games.
Maybe it's like the movie industry where it's just like, if it doesn't make $1 billion, then it's not worth my time. And it's like, well, you could make like smaller games that people like. I mean, look at fucking Balatro or Dave the Diver or something like that.
Make more $40 games and people will buy them.
Yeah,
especially if they're IPs that people like. Like they could make a new Resistance game that's 6 hours long that's $40 and people would buy it. Yep. They would be annoyed that it's short, but they will buy it.
True. Let's see from there. Speaking of industry stuff, apparently Rocksteady is starting layoffs.
I want to say I'm surprised. I'm saddened, but I want to say I'm surprised.
Well, and this is, God, this is the worst kind of layoffs. They're starting with their QA team. So the QA team is going from 33 people to 15, which means that which means that all of their later content will probably be worse, because you don't have as much QA to catch the obvious shit before it goes out.
Yeah, that's the worst chunk of team to get rid of first.
Yep.
For the specific, because the seasons aren't even over yet.
Yep. So you're going to have jankier releases, which are then going to turn people off, so then they're not going to play as much. I don't think they're getting to the end of their proposed story thing. Like
as much as I would want them to be able to finish their plot.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be able to make it.
I don't think so either. Another strange one that I saw, the Visions of Mana team, the Visions of Mana sequel that came out.
This.
Yeah. Has mostly been laid off at this point, and their studio is all but certainly going to be shuttered. Now, this is a strange story because I actually went and looked up a bunch of facts on this. One, this is part of a thing that Tencent has been doing because they're the owners of the studio.
Oh, yeah.
Was it last week or the week before? I don't remember if you and I talked about it. There was like an MMO that they made that Amazon was going to publish in the West that was already out in Japan. That was came out in July, and they're shutting it down in January, and they canceled the Western release date for it.
We did talk about that,
yeah. Tencent is getting out of this live service business and really cutting to the bone anything that's not making a shitload of money. Also, this is not new. Apparently, for the last 6 months, people have been slowly being let go from the studio. Also, and I didn't realize this, this is a really old studio.
Is it really?
It's a lot of the people who made the original Secret of Mana game.
That's surprising.
There was a video with them. I don't know if I have it anywhere in here. There was a video I was watching with them where it's it's the producer and the developer and the guy that did the soundtrack, and they're all old. They're all gray-haired men in their late 50s or something.
That's crazy.
Everybody who was involved, or a lot of the people involved with this, appear to be older. So it's not exactly a plucky young and upcoming studio. Even though as I hear, that game got pretty good reviews.
It did.
Stellar, but
didn't it get didn't get shut down, right? Right away.
I think they're going to be shut down.
I remember them saying it was getting shut down. The reason I remember this is because some streamers and stuff were paid to promote the game.
Yeah.
And as one of them was saying, as they were literally doing the exact stream they were being paid for, all that stuff came out.
Yeah.
Literally, they were they're shutting down the thing that I'm being paid for at this exact moment.
Yeah.
Do I keep letting people know about it, or what is the protocol here? This has never happened before.
It's kind of nuts to see it. I mean, the thing is that it's most of the studio apparently is already gone. The plans are in the works to eventually let everybody go and shut it down. That hasn't happened, I don't think, right this second, but it's imminent and it's on the table. It's not a question. It's it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and I wish that was the last layoff news, but this is another one of those ones that's kind of fucking crazy. Until the developer Ballistic Moon of the Until Dawn remake has started laying people off before the game is even out.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So it's that game comes out at the end of this month, and they're already starting to lay people off.
You make the right choice.
Yeah.
Now you got to get laid off.
I mean, technical designers and animators and I guess the game has gone gold. I don't need fucking artists anymore. Get the fuck out of here. It's already coming out.
That's so insane that they keep that would happen that quickly.
Yeah.
That keeps happening though, and it frustrates me that
the game isn't even out. Can you guys just let the game come out? Can you just let me work here until the game I worked on comes out? We can have a fucking pizza party and have a launch day party and
can I at least get a pizza? Give me a pizza on my way out. Something.
Which just goddamn. I mean, usually I'm used to living in the video game industry. I'm used to the game came out and then the studio that made it basically got gutted. I've seen that happen a shitload of times, but seeing this the studio got gutted before the game came out, and it's I don't know about that one. That's a new one to me.
Yeah, there's no time frame that's safe anymore. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I'm expecting one to just be we announced we're making this game, and then the entire dev team got fired within seconds of it being happening, which I'm pretty sure has happened. I just don't remember.
There's been a few.
It just keeps happening, man. It's frustrating.
Let's see. Speaking of people on the chopping block, Michael, apparently XDefiant is kind of hovering.
Oh geez.
Apparently, like there's been a report from inside of Ubisoft that the dev team for XDefiant has been told that like their third season, I believe, starts in like October. Either October or November. November. And that if the third season of XDefiant doesn't make money, it's getting shut down.
Jesus Christ.
And that's apparently from the Ubisoft higher-ups who are just like, yep, it's not making money just yet, and the player count is going down. And apparently that industry... Like, it makes me kind of glad that I went into the talking about video games industry and not the video games industry. Because
100%.
Fucking A, man. Like, XDefiant was... I was surprised XDefiant did as well as it did. Like,
yeah, and we kind of liked it for what we played.
Yeah, it wasn't really for me, but...
Yeah, it wasn't, it wasn't like the gangbuster thing that would be like, oh, I'm going to play this all the time.
Right.
But it was enough that I was like, I can see this being a good chunk of people's favorite thing.
Yep.
For a while, but it turns out, like you said, so one of the other things, if it's not making $1 bajillion in the first like 3 months, then they just don't care about it anymore.
Yeah, and apparently a lot of people are a lot of internally to Ubisoft people are somewhat salty about this because apparently the XDefiant was something that was pushed on development teams by management. We need a hero shooter. We've got all these Tom Clancy things. Make a fucking hero shooter, and they're like, "Okay, we did." Like, well, now make money, and they're like, "It's not going to."
Yeah.
They're like, "Well, then you're all going to be fired." It's like, I don't know what you want from me, man.
This wasn't our idea.
Yeah,
we didn't have ideas. We just made the game and hoped for the best.
Yeah.
So fuck, dude. It's frustrating. Yeah, that's very, very frustrating.
That sucks.
That's the story that keeps happening lately. Is that we wanted to make a normal game, and somebody's like, "But what if it was like live service?"
Right.
Just every time.
Yep. I mean, hopefully we're getting to the end of this. Hopefully they aren't greenlighting new live service games.
Well, I'm hoping that with Concord having failed, and now that XDefiant is maybe he's going to fail. I feel bad saying it's going to.
Yeah.
But maybe it's going to fail. I hope that people are finally looking at the writing on the wall that this fad is done.
Yeah.
And we need to find the new fad.
Yeah.
And I hope the new fad
even
makes sense.
Apex was losing people because they did that stupid split Game Pass that you couldn't buy with the in-game currency anymore, and they like lost a chunk of people.
Like some of them are starting to feel like the jig might be up, so we need to come up with new ways to make more money.
Sure.
Like even Fortnite in its infinite money pit was like, well, we still feel like we're not making just enough, so we're going to hire the cost of V-Bucks.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then even some of the Battle Pass stuff was like, I think a little more expensive too.
I just realized what the problem is.
What?
There's not a new hype train. There's no new hype train. There's no new like gimmick to get on. There's no MOBAs. There's no battle royales. There's no live service games. There's no hero shooters.
Well, MOBAs are starting to come back again. People are making MOBAs again. I don't know why. But
well, I guess there's that Steam game could end up being like a big thing.
Because you're doing that Steam MOBA. The Dragon Ball MOBA's coming out. The Pokemon MOBA's doing really well. There was another MOBA that got announced. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But they're all like based on shit. I think that's part of what's causing those things to like happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they decided to go back to the MOBAs. I guess it's because they're able to make money off. I don't know. It's dumb. I don't understand the gaming world. They don't make any sense.
Yeah. So I guess it's just, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if there's a new thing coming out.
The next training you guys need to do is big booty bitches. I swear it'll work.
I feel like they just need to start making like, single player video games for us single player video game people to play. Baldur's Gate 3 got so many awards, like too many awards.
They got all the awards, but they need money more than they need awards.
Let's see. This is a brief story, but remember that thing where Bungie sued those cheat makers and they got awarded $4.4 million payout? Well, the cheat maker guys tried to appeal it, and it was no. They tried to appeal the decision. They said no. They tried to appeal the amount, and they said no.
Now you got to keep paying more because you keep losing these fucking court cases.
Yep. The site is called Aim Junkies. They're still up, but apparently they just had like a really crappy lawyer because they came to court. The judge was like, how are you asking me to like? What are you asking me for appeal here? And it was like, well, that doesn't have anything to do with the fucking case. So
like this isn't an appeal. This is
like,
something else.
I think they said that like they were trying to compare their cheats to like Game Genie. They tried to use the Game Genie court case, but the thing about the Game Genie was that it was like the Game Genie blocked one of the bits from the game and then would insert its own code into that bit. This injects code into the game that's being played and changes it fundamentally. And so a judge was like, no, that doesn't apply here. So.
Well, not only that, like there's real world money at stake in some of these things. People do tournaments and stuff like that. So yeah, that's even makes it worse.
I'm still flabbergasted that somebody thought I'm going to sell cheats for a profit, and nobody's ever going to. They can go fuck themselves.
And then if they send me a cease and desist, I'll tell them to go fuck themselves.
Right.
And then that'll show them, and then not realizing that they're not the main character of the world.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, Spectre Divide is a new kind of. It's a weird Counter-Strike style game where you've got 3v3, but everybody has two bodies. I think I told you about
this. Telling me about this.
Where you can like kind of you can place like a clone of yourself that will cover like an area, and then you can go shoot. So it's actually like kind of 6v6, but in a very strange way.
Yeah.
They had a bit of a dust up this week because they came out and one of the first things they had, it's a free-to-play game, and they have microtransaction store, and one of the first things they had was this cryokinesis bundle of just kind of some uninspired skins and like one animation that was $90.
It was $90?
$90.
Fuck you. Oh my God.
Yeah. Also, it's one of those things where like you can't buy $90 worth of the currency. You could buy like $50 and $35 or $100, but like but
I can't believe we're back to that still. By the way, like, it frustrates me for every game, not just like these games. It's just for some reason all of them do it now.
But player base came at them on Reddit and they caved. They didn't cave hard, but they did cave. So they lowered the prices of everything by like, what was it, like something like 17 to 25% across the board, everything, all the cosmetics. So that same pack that was $90 is now $70, which I think is still kind of stupid.
No, it's a stupid amount of money still, but at least everything under it will be like
cheaper,
more affordable.
Yeah. So
because if you spend the $70 on it, at that point it's on you.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't buy this shit, man. It's all trash. Like it's just trash. Let's see. In other online news, apparently the Helldivers are finally getting what they wanted. So there was an interesting thing that happened.
I'm amazed it's taking this long.
Over the weekend, some people logged into the universe map and they saw a new sector with a big purple sector coming up towards the Super Earth. So for anybody who doesn't know, the original Helldivers had 3 different aliens that you could fight. They had the robots, they had the bugs, and they had this faction called the Illuminate. The Illuminate have not yet been in Helldivers 2, but there have been there's
been like small hints of them.
Hints of it,
as the years gone on.
I think this is really clever because this sector showed up, but then it went away, and there was an explanation that was put up where like a guy was trapped in the, what is it said? Some Helldivers may have noticed a recent service outage in the major order communication display. The issue has been resolved, and it's like organic tissue degradation on electronic equipment. Discussion: comms technician became stranded in server farm. Cause of death: exposure. Resolution: electronics replaced. Family of deceased fined for damages. So like a guy was in the server room and melted on the computers, and so people saw like the Illuminate on the radar for a minute.
I love these guys' reactions to things.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they just gaslight you.
Yes.
And they were like, that never happened.
Yes.
Well, if you think it did, then you hate freedom.
The CEO was on Twitter, and somebody pointed it out. And he just said fake news to the Illuminate being on the map. So
I love them. I love that. I love that they're willing to just be like, it never happened.
Yep.
And if you think it happened, you hate freedom.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. If you hate freedom, then you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the community just goes with it. Like, yeah, that guy hates freedom.
Right.
Fuck that guy. And then they just all stop talking about it for some reason.
It's
I
great.
love it.
It's great. It's a great way to handle it. I'm glad to see Helldivers. I'm hoping that they get the kind of fun factor back up, because that's the one thing that they're still missing is the nerfs and stuff. So
yeah, they're still trying to keep that balance going, and I'm glad that the fan base has stuck around for it.
Let's see, Michael. I don't know why I didn't put this one next to the Sony boss saying how bad he is at stuff.
I'm amazed you didn't either.
An interview with Phil Spencer this week where he talked about some of the worst decisions that he's ever made.
He's made quite a few, as it turns out, because he starts listing them.
Yep. He specifically talked about how like he used to like work in the same building as the guys who were making Destiny, and he was just like, I don't know. He said he didn't really get into the game until... Well, this is the thing that was so weird to me. He said he didn't get into the game until the Fallen King expansion came out. And I'm like, it was... The question of whether a game is on Game Pass is whether Phil Spencer thinks it's fun? Is that what I'm getting here? Do you
Pretty
not have
much,
like...
yeah.
Can you... Phil, hire me. I will tell you whether it's fun or not. You're a businessman. Like, I know you like to wear Xbox t-shirts and shit, but like, you need like a professional... like goon cave of fucking like weirdos and crazy people to tell you whether a game is fun or not like whether you think it's fun or not.
He's a strange one. Like he came out with all these like, I'm not very good at this. I passed up on all these things that became really big things. You're like, what the fuck? Why are you admitting all these things?
Now,
are you dying, Phil?
Now, one of the ones. Okay, so he did talk about how he got pitched Guitar Hero.
Oh my god!
And he passed on Guitar Hero because he was like, they pitched me on it, and I was like, "You gonna plastic guitar? You're gonna play Simon on a plastic guitar?
That's dumb. It'll never work."
What? But I will be honest, Michael, I don't really blame him for that, because the concept of Guitar Hero before Guitar Hero happened, like even after Guitar Hero came out and my friends were trying to get me to play it, explaining it to me, and I was like, that sounds stupid. I don't want to play that. Like,
here's the secret, guys. I still think it's dumb as hell.
Yeah. I get to pretend to play the guitar? What?
I always think of the South Park episode where the way it ends. I can't say the way it ends because of what it says, but I always think of that ending because it cracks me up every time.
Yeah.
I almost cut the dragon stand.
So yeah, it's somebody should. Why do they let these guys make these decisions? I'm starting to wonder. It's like, look, I know you guys have like a board of directors, but what the fuck do they do? Because they don't appear to be any good at figuring out what video games to make or sell or promote or anything.
My favorite thing he talks about, I think it's in this, I don't remember if he talked about it or not, where he's just like, yeah, they were like, do you want a Spider-Man game?
Oh.
And he's like, that's dumb. You're like, are you serious right now, Phil Spencer? Like, yeah, I don't think people want another Spider-Man game. And they're like, Sony, you want a Spider-Man game? Of course we do. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why would anyone say that?
Why would anybody say no to a Spider-Man game?
Phil's just like, I don't understand what happened. It's like, Phil, what the fuck, dude?
I don't know. I don't know if that one was in here, but
that's one of those decisions that keep happening. That like you'll hear like 10 years down the line or something where they're like, turns out Xbox was somebody walked up to Xbox was like, hey, do you want like unlimited orgasms and like unlimited gold? And they're like, why would I want that?
Right.
And then like they gave it to somebody else, and they're like, oh, that was a terrible decision. Of course it was.
Yeah. The longer this shit goes on, the more it's like, does anybody in charge know what the fuck they're doing?
No.
I don't know. Like, maybe
really
it's time
don't.
to put me and Michael in charge and see. I mean, we couldn't do any worse.
No,
like,
we couldn't do any worse, but you would get a lot of weird green lights.
That's very true. That's very true.
We're just making Ghostbuster games for a while. That's all we're going to get for a bit.
What is this? You guys have greenlit 15 Dragon Ball and 4 Souls games. I don't know. Is that it? I'm like, yeah, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you want. You like money, right? Souls and Dragon Ball.
Souls
They're
and Dragon Ball.
guaranteed winners.
Like the entire country loves both of these things.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a Dragon Ball Souls game, by the way.
Yeah.
It's all gonna be things.
Yeah. What is this down at the bottom? X-Men 97 cartoon tie-in game. That's stupid. You get out of my office, Phil Spencer.
Fucking kill you, Phil. I'll kill you with my Guitar Hero controller.
Yeah. Do you want video games or not? Okay. Like, come on.
Crash Bandicoot 5, goddammit.
Fallout New Vegas 2, motherfucker.
No.
It's sitting there. That is a cash machine.
You have so many things that you have all the pieces.
Yeah.
And you won't make the things.
Yes.
What is wrong with you?
Yes. Well, speaking of Microsoft, apparently that in Enotria, the last song, that kind of like Italian Souls game that I greenlit.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, with the masks and everything.
What were people calling it? Spaghetti souls.
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
I think I've heard somebody call it spaghetti souls.
Sounds racist as hell. Apparently, there was a problem where like it was on the PS5. It's greenlit to come out on the PS5. It's greenlit to come out on the PC. The Xbox, like no word. And apparently the developer like got on Twitter and was like, hey, at Xbox, do you not like money? Because I've been waiting for 2 weeks for somebody to resolve the login issue that I have to submit my game for fucking certification on the Xbox, and no one will answer my calls and no one will answer my emails. And I paid somebody to port this thing to the Xbox, and I think that people probably want to play it. So like, what the fuck actually?
That's a story as old as time lately, because every time a game comes out, the Xbox is nowhere to be seen.
Yep.
And lately it seems pretty obvious why. It's because the Xbox won't fucking let them do it. The Baldur's Gate 3 was the best example of it.
Very true.
For a long time, where they're like, look, the game works on the Xbox Series X,
yep,
but it doesn't work on the Series S, and we literally cannot, at the time, because this was at the time, is that the requirement is it has to work on both for it to come out on the Xbox.
Well, and it was just co-op.
Yes, it was just the co-op mode.
Split screen co-op didn't work on the Series S.
A lot of the people who play it for hours and hours on end don't have the friend who's going to do the same thing with them.
Right.
So like it didn't matter, but the requirement's there, and they're not allowed to. And according to that one old Rocksteady dev, that thing is a fucking potato.
Yep.
And so they fucking finally announced, I don't know if it's a news story or not, that you have of something finally coming out, or it's something that was announced that is going to come out on the Xbox finally.
Yeah.
It was the well, I don't know. Do you have it or not? I don't remember.
The Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah.
Just say it.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to ruin your thing, but that's a good example of just like, hey, we announced the thing,
yeah,
and we didn't announce it on the Xbox, and people are like, why? It's because there's so many different specs situations that a lot of people don't understand.
Yep.
About porting something to it that just wasn't there, and the fact that it's still not coming out until way after it's coming out on everything else, shows there's a huge problem with going on with Xbox.
October, November 2024 for PC and PS5, and then like next year for the Xbox.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, this one at least had a bit of a happy ending, where after like getting online and shaming Xbox and Phil Spencer specifically, apparently a new tweet went up where they were like, we'd like to officially thank Phil Spencer and his team for reaching out to us so promptly and helping to resolve our situation. And it's like, this is one of the problems with the modern world, especially as somebody who used to do like customer support, that I fucking hate, where it's like, you shouldn't have to make a fucking big deal. You're a developer. You're trying to give them money.
Yeah.
And they won't like accept your money because it's like, well, I can't reset my password to log into the site to give you the money. And they're just like, oh, that sounds like a real fucking bummer, dude. And it's like, well, should I just tell everybody that it's not going to be here? And they're like, I don't fucking know. I don't work here. Like,
no, it's like, I'm just some guy. Have you tried turning it on and off again? It's like, what's wrong with you?
It's like the way that, like, you know, when people, I don't know if it happens as much anymore, but when people would have like a problem with like somebody abusing the DMCA system on YouTube.
Oh no, it still happens.
And the only way to get any satisfaction was to tweet at YouTube and make a big stink about it. It's just like, you fucks.
Dude, every other week I see a new tweet of somebody having a giant argument with YouTube's automated replies being like, my video is about hardcore fucking, and you're like, it's for children.
Right.
And you're like, no, it's clearly not for children. And you're like, I don't know what to tell you. It's clearly for children. And it's just that argument over and over again. Yeah. It's like, what is wrong with these people? Just let them be able to talk to someone. I don't know. It frustrates me.
I don't know why the people that have these jobs have these jobs.
I don't. I don't either.
And like, I don't know, man. Maybe they put you and me in charge, and like the company of Microsoft is bankrupt in 3 months. Like 14 days after you and I get put in charge, the $3 trillion corporation of Microsoft has been sold to Tencent for $20 and a hand job. Like, maybe that's what happens because they tricked me. Those Tencent motherfuckers tricked me. But like,
I could see that happening. Yeah.
But I just don't feel like, when I look at this stuff, we just got done talking about like how Sony is being stupid. They don't have any software. Xbox, I've been talking about for a year being stupid and having no software. Like, And it's not like Steam is that much better. They've got that weird, that Deadlock game is doing very well. It's doing very well. It's got a lot of momentum. It's got a lot of heat behind it. Can you post a video for it? No. Can you pre-order it? No. Can you wishlist it? No. Will Valve, acknowledge that it exists? No. Is there a trailer? No. Is there an announcement? No. Is there a release date? Absolutely not. They put more behind that
card game,
MOBA card game than they did behind this.
What was it called? What was it, Arcane? What was it called?
Arc something.
I just remember hating it. I remember it's the only game we've played on RageSelect where I fell asleep midway through it.
Yep.
And then there was the thing with Twitch where people were just playing hardcore pornography, using it as a tag because no one was watching it.
That game lasted for 3 years.
Did it really?
And Concord got shut down in 14 days.
Oh, my goodness.
Nobody was even playing it. Nobody was even playing it.
That's so bad.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. Speaking of Steam horror stories, there's this game called Influx where you play as a little ball. You play as a little ball, and you're rolling around in the world. And you got various little ball puzzles that happen. The guy that made this game decided to basically remake it in Unreal Engine 5 with nice lighting effects and some new physics and stuff. And so he made this game. He basically created a new version of the game that's called Influx Redux, and he submitted it to Steam to approve it. And apparently Steam's first reply was that they looked at it and they were like, well, this is the exact same game as your other game. You can't resubmit the exact same game. And the guy had to go on Twitter and put up these screenshots of this is the original, this is the original, this is the remaster.
Oh my goodness.
This is the original, this is the remaster. And it's no, there's obviously some different shit happening here.
This is a remake, bro.
Yeah.
A legit remake.
Yeah. Now, apparently, it was a lot easier with Steam, where he just went back and was no. Let me explain this. I made the original. Here's screenshots that show you the difference. And they were oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And approved it. And it's got a Steam page and everything. But still.
Well, that is nice of them.
I almost can't be that mad at Steam because of, I'm sure, the amount of crap that gets put on that person who approves games of being on Steam's desk. They're they've got to look at 6 hentai poker games a day.
Yeah.
And they're just what is this, fucking marbles? It's the same fucking game. All right.
It's another marbles porno that wants me I don't want to do this right now, man.
Yeah.
This is the same fucking 10 games I looked at. And then he sees that one. He's like, this is the same fucking game. He probably didn't even notice. He's just, it's the same fucking game. I don't want to deal with this
Here's
shit.
the guy's tweet. He said, a funny thing that happened was my remake of my 11-year-old game failed Steam build review. And one of the issues was, quote, seems identical to the game you put out 11 years ago. Explain why this should be its own product, unquote. Damn, I was expecting a Steam review, not a Steam review.
Jesus Christ. That is pretty brutal. I didn't think about that. It's just the same fucking game.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I just like that I expected a Steam review, not a Steam review.
That is a great fucking line.
Let's see. Speaking of incompetent development, folks, let's talk about Capcom a little bit.
What did Capcom do?
So you know how they put out those Resident Evil games on the new iPhone?
Yeah.
They put out 7, 4 Remake, and Village.
Yes.
Apparently they have sold absolute and total trash garbage.
I'm shocked, Jeff.
Yeah,
shocked.
I know. Who wants to play Resident Evil on an iPhone? Not me, and apparently not a lot of other people. So Capcom, in its infinite wisdom, and let's just put a quick pin and then we'll come back to it in just a minute.
Okay.
Has decided that from here on out, if you want to log into those games to play them on your iPad or your iPhone, you must be online.
Oh my God.
Even though they're single player games and there's a lot of iPads that don't have a SIM card in them and don't have a data plan, apparently it has to phone home. The conjecture here is that Capcom thinks that the reason that it isn't selling is because people are pirating it onto iPhones and iPads. And so now they're upping the fucking security in order to make sure that people are getting legit copies and aren't playing hacked copies of a game on an incredibly inferior device. Who wants to play a cinematic horror game on a phone screen?
Well, not only who wants to do that, that's going to eat up your battery.
Yep.
The difference between watching a movie on your phone, because I know David Lynch, and many people are like, why would you watch a movie on your phone? I get that, because at least it's just a quick thing. And you don't even have to do anything with your hands. You just put it down. Like say you're on an
I'm
airplane.
at work.
Say you're on an airplane or something.
Yeah.
Like I see that being a thing.
Yeah.
But why would you spend that much energy playing a game like that? Because it's going to eat up all of the battery.
Yep.
Because unlike when you watch a movie, it only uses like essentially your video player.
Yep.
When you're playing a game, it uses a lot more than that to process what's going on. It's a terrible idea.
It's a very terrible idea.
This is what the Switch was designed for, guys. That's what the Steam Deck was designed for.
Let's see. Oh wait, where did my story go? Wait, was that something later? Oh, that's something later. Okay.
We'll come back to that pin. Is what he's saying.
In other Capcom news. Oh no, the pin was about the piracy thing.
Oh yes, it's going to make less money. I hope. I so hope.
Yeah. In other very strange survival horror news, Shinji Mikami gave an interview where he was talking about Dino Crisis and how like he's surprised that everybody like keeps asking for a new Dino Crisis. And I don't know if you saw this, Michael, but did you read what this reasoning from this motherfucker was?
I did, and it doesn't make any fucking sense.
He's like, well, Monster Hunter already exists, and like that's probably the best killing a dinosaur game that you're ever gonna get. So like I don't know what else I would do because Monster Hunter is already a thing. And it's like, what?
It's like, no, that's
not a thing.
That's not part of this conversation at all.
Yeah,
it's not even close to the same thing.
Yeah, like
what?
This is like, well, I didn't want to make Resident Evil because like Crash Bandicoot exists and they're both third-person games. So why would I want to do? I mean, Crash Bandicoot's obviously going to be better experience than Resident Evil. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It doesn't make any sense. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
1, it's not a horror game. 2, they're not real-world monsters. And 3, they're entirely different video games.
Yeah, they're not even in the same spectrum.
Yeah.
Outside of one has a giant monster and the other one has a giant monster, I guess.
Yep.
But they're very, very, very fictional in Monster Hunter.
Very weird.
Where these are just like, this is a whole. What is wrong with you? I don't. The reasoning doesn't make any sense. It frustrates me.
Yeah.
Because it's another example of like who is hiring these people and what is wrong with their decision making.
Well, you know, Shinji Mikami is a really famous designer, and I'm like,
he is, but I want to punch him in the face.
But I want to be like, wait, what? I would like sit down with him and be like, so you've obviously played Monster Hunter. Have you played your own game?
He's like that meme.
Do you know the
like,
difference?
They're like, these are two different pictures, and
Right.
they're the same picture. They're like, no, they're not.
You have to keep looking at it.
You just gotta look.
Yeah.
This is, like, again, this is what is. Come on, just make more Dino Crisis. Exoprimal's not the same.
Yep.
I know people were like, "Well, why did you buy Exoprimal?" Because it's not fucking.
It's not the thing. That's not it.
It's not anywhere near the same thing.
It's so weird. It's just so weird.
See, if he was like, "We made Exoprimal," at least that has a dinosaur in it,
Right.
It's like and has guns.
It's got a
it.
red head, guns, and a dinosaur.
Like that's the smallest connection, but that's a connection.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter is not even close, guys.
Nope.
The fuck.
All right, let's see here. I'm gonna cut. I'll do these. I got three more, and we got like 3 minutes. So let me do this real quick. Age of Mythology is getting review bombed because they are literally selling 20-year-old art as DLC.
Oh my goodness.
So the Age of Mythology remastered came out. It's to like big remaster of the first one. Oh my god, my speech center, my brain is shutting down. For $6 on Steam, they are selling the Legacy Deity Portrait Pack. Michael, these are the portraits from the original version of the game.
Oh.
And they're selling them for $6. This should be included in the fucking remaster. Like, you're already asking somebody to buy a game. Like, I don't know why I need the character portraits to look like the old ones, why that would have to cost money.
Well, yeah,
right?
because the difference is that since it's a remake, yeah, they should be part of it. Because if this was like a sequel or something,
yeah, and
then they were, hey, you want the old packs from the old game,
yep,
then that's at least some kind of reason for that. This is the remake, like that's like if you bought Halo, what was it called, Combat Evolved Anniversary, and you had to pay for the like that up button thing where it changed everything.
Oh,
back.
sure, yep.
Like that would be really frustrating.
I can also say that if it was like $2, I could understand that.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be too bad. So,
but $6 is a bit too much.
Let's
Especially
see.
for a PC one.
Remedy announced that they are partnering with Annapurna for some movie and or TV show stuff based on the Remedyverse. What's interesting is apparently Annapurna does have a game publishing arm who is going to be paying for half of Control 2 and putting it out. And that's good because of Annapurna right now, I mean, they seem like a really successful label, right?
Yeah, they've done really well. They've come out with quite a few games, and they're always the more artsy ones.
Yeah.
Usually when we see their names, we're always like, oh, we're in for a very artsy game. Well, this will probably be one of the first times. I'm not pretending. I don't remember how much games Annapurna has published, so I don't know if all of them are exactly the ones I'm thinking of. But to me, this will be the first time I can think of them being like, hey, look at all these like an actiony more type game instead of like discovering yourself as you grow up kind of thing,
right?
Like because a lot of the announcements they do for them are those, like, because I think they're doing that music one or whatever, if I remember correctly.
Which one?
The soundtrack of your life one. I don't remember the name. I just remember that being the tagline.
Oh yeah, the one from the guys that did the guitar outer space thing.
I think that was an Annapurna one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
but they're games like that usually is what I think of them coming out with.
Yeah. Also, they tend to be pretty good about like I'm looking for a stable investor. Like I don't want it to be a thing where they try to squeeze them. So, that morsels. That's it. Yep. A lot of different stuff. Anyway, mixtape.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's good news. And then apparently Remedy still has like full creative control and rights to the stuff.
That's good.
It's just an investment thing, so it's not like they're getting. I'm really like protective of Remedy because I'm like, I want you guys to finish whatever you're doing. Like I feel like you're just getting to the really good part. Like we're getting to the really good part, and I want to see that good part. It'd be like, I want you to not get shut down and bought before the good part.
Yeah, because Remedy's that studio that you're just like, they keep barely surviving things.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my god, don't fucking fall.
Yeah.
Like I want to see the jump.
Let's see. Breath of the Wild. I didn't know this, but apparently Nintendo had this like presentation that they did in Japan, and there was like a Nintendo thing, and it actually had like a timeline for the Legend of Zelda franchise. Like it actually like was an explanation of like where all the games go and in what order.
Oh no, we've had the timeline for a while now.
Oh, okay.
But this is the first time Breath of the Wild and them have been added to it.
Oh, okay. And then so you have this whole timeline that starts with Skyward Sword and like, you know, and then it splits at Ocarina of Time into basically like the young Link like Link fails and Link succeeds, and then there's like a series of things and whatever. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, just over to one side, no arrows connecting it to anything, just completely off in its own thing over here, no connection. So
yeah, because the theory is that they got tired of having to explain the timeline to nerds because the timeline. Like the timeline was kind of forced on them, I feel, because people kept going, what is the timeline of that? And because fans started coming up with their own reasons for things.
Yeah.
And then eventually they're like, okay, fine, you fucking nerds. Here's the timeline. Here's the timeline when Link like disappears, and so Link fails essentially. And here's the timeline where Link like is triumphant because he like fucking does all the things.
Yeah.
And so you can actually be like. You can actually like look at the time frame of like, oh, this is when this will happen. This will happen. So people were speculating that Breath of the Wild was the end point of one of the timelines, but they couldn't figure out which one it was.
Oh.
But the problem, but so finally Nintendo's just like, I don't fucking care anymore. It's its own separate thing. You can stop fighting about this shit. Like I'm
leave me alone.
Dealing with you fucking weirdos who keeps asking me about this.
I'm trying to eat dinner. Leave me alone.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
it's a very intricate timeline, though.
It is.
I really appreciate the timeline. Like, Link to the Past is like the Link failed timeline kind of thing,
right?
And so I think that's really interesting. Like, what's what? But it's crazy that they actually found a way to make the majority of them connect.
Yeah. And with that, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back. We got a bunch of trailers. So stick around, everybody, and we'll see you in just a minute. And it's part 3, Michael. That means it's time for trailers.
Yeah, it is.
When we last left, we were talking about the Legend of Zelda. They came out with a big fat Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom trailer. They've been really marketing this thing very well with just like showing a little bit at a time. And like,
I'm very happy with the way they've been marketing this because I feel like the Peach game had the opposite.
Yeah.
Where we just weren't seeing a lot about it.
Yeah.
Where this one's just like, I feel like I have too much news on it sometimes, but that's more exciting because it's like they're really pushing. They're like, you guys are finally getting that Zelda game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited for them.
Did you watch this one?
I didn't get a chance to. I was in the middle of work when I found out about it.
There's a couple of big things in here. One is we knew before in Echoes of Wisdom that there were these giant like areas of the map that are kind of like this inky like substance, this kind of like that have been eaten up basically.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that like you can go inside of that area. There's basically like a whole dark world that is that area.
Oh.
And it's like it's called the Still World, and it's like everything is all weird and messed up and people are like made out of stone. But then it's like a little platforming thing where it's like you gotta kind of try to get around these like disconnected chunks of the land that are in there.
Oh, wow.
With various like little platforming challenges and stuff. And so it's like more of a navigation thing. Which is pretty
so this
cool.
is where your dungeons themselves is the Still Worlds.
Yeah, so there's dungeons in there as well, and little challenges and stuff, and it all looks pretty cool. The other thing they showed that I thought was really interesting was Zelda can pick up a sword and becomes like this, like she turns blue and she gets the tunic and she turns into a little Link warrior.
Oh, I heard about this, yeah.
But it's like a limited resource. So when you're in the Still World, you pick up like these little balls that fill up a meter, and then you can use it. You can just turn it on and off at will. But while you're using it, there's a meter that goes down, and when you don't have any meter, then it doesn't work anymore.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's like you do have like a direct combat option, but they're trying to keep you from just like playing the game like it's a Link game, by limiting it a little bit.
That's
which is kind of interesting. Yeah,
it's very strange but kind of fun.
Yeah, I really, every time they talk about this, they talk about more mechanics, and I'm like, it seems like a really mechanically interesting kind of like puzzle action hybrid game.
I think that's the most crazy thing about it was because everybody just expected it to be just another slashy slash.
Yeah.
And then when they first showed it off, people were just like, "You're using chairs,
right?
You're like a wrestler." But then they're like, "No, that's not the only thing." And it's just they keep giving more things that you're doing with it.
Yeah.
It feels like the way I felt about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where I'm just like, you were giving so many weird mechanical things that people are just going to break as hard as possible.
Yeah.
And I have no issues with that.
Yeah. The other thing that they talked about was that you can, like, there's this guy named Dompe that's like a Goron that makes little like clockwork contraptions.
Oh.
And you can get them, and then you can like wind them up and throw them out. They're like kind of little toy looking guys, and they'll do things that are like, they'll have like very specific actions they can do. Well, they'll like explode, or they're showing where they're like putting out these little like balls that act as a shield, but they'll break eventually, and so they're not like a kind of a forever solution to things. So yet another way to interact with things.
Yeah.
So you've got like, you know, the wand, and you've got the sword, you've got the contraptions, and there's like smoothies in this game, and
There's
like,
so many ways to play this game, and I think that's interesting.
Yep. So they showed a lot more of it, and it all looks very like, I don't know, you know, all that bitching that we were doing about Nintendo and Xbox, and it's like, look, here's like,
Are you talking about Sony and Xbox?
or Sony and Xbox, yeah, where it's like you look at this and you're just like, oh, you guys took like the engine that you made for this remake and then just made like a crazy ass other game because Nintendo knows how to fucking like make games, and it's legitimately one of the things that I'm more excited about the back half of the year is this crazy Zelda game.
Yeah, and
so,
it's super soon, and like they know how to keep IPs alive in interesting and lately in interesting ways, because Super Mario Wonder was another good example of them being like, let's make a Mario game, but like really fucking weird.
Yeah.
And then the Peach game, like you said, that's a whole other thing where they're like, let's make a game about Peach, but that's not just another Mario game.
Right.
And hell, even the next Mario games that were coming out, it's you know, sure, it's another sequel for their RPGs, but like it's more of it.
They showed off a little bit of that as well. They had a really brief English language thing that talked about, Concordia being the name of the land that they're going to. But apparently there was like a little Japanese thing where they showed more of it, where they showed it's like, an interconnected series of islands. There's like these like specific like antagonists that are there. And then they showed off a lot more like kind of Mario and Luigi together special attacks stuff. They show one thing in this 30-second trailer that's like the two of them join hands and start spinning and become like a UFO, which is very weird.
Yeah, but it's very much like this type of games thing. Because the Mario and Luigi series is just like the weirdest possible shit you can do with the Mario Brothers.
Yeah. And that's coming out in November.
Yeah.
Like the Zelda game's coming out at the end of this month, and then we're going to have a new Mario game in November. So
it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff.
But you know what, Michael? That isn't the most exciting Nintendo news of the entire week. All right. So hold on to your butt. Everybody put your hands on your butt and hold on. Because Pauline is going to be in Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Oh, I heard about this. Yeah.
Which, I like seeing Pauline in anything. She's the mayor of New Donk City.
I'm a big fan of her newer design.
Yeah.
Or not newer, because it's been her design for quite some time.
Yep.
But it's such a great fucking design.
Yeah.
It's the kind of design that you're just like, I get it, Donkey Kong.
And you know what? That Super Mario Jamboree is coming out in October between Zelda and Mario.
Is it really?
Yes. 10/17 of this year. Oh, wait, no. Is that?
I think it's just Pauline, because I thought the game was out already, wasn't it?
Is it? I forgot. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to look this up. Super Mario Jam. Is that just her? I didn't know if there was a new Mario Party or not. Jamboree.
I wasn't sure when it came out.
I don't think that's out yet. Yeah, no, it's October. It's not out yet. It's October
shit.
of this year.
I just thought it was.
Yeah, we got a new Nintendo game this month, next month, and the month after. Bada bing, bang, boom. There you go. Yeah. It was developed by Nintendo Cube, published for Nintendo Switch on October. So there you go. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, it's God, Nintendo. God bless you.
Yeah. We also got a big extended trailer for. Yeah. What was my thing? Speaking of ladies wearing red outfits, we got a whole extended trailer for Sector from Mortal Kombat 1. Also, this kind of weird, like, military Johnny Cage thing, multiverse
like
Johnny
that.
Cage thing. Yeah, so this was like a split between like some gameplay and then some of the story for the Chaos Reigns expansion that's coming out.
That's also pretty soon, isn't it?
I think so. I don't remember the exact one on that. Like they showed some
it's like end of the month, if I remember correctly.
Havoc stuff, and then yeah, I mean it's kind of hard in a lot of ways to judge Sector gameplay because it's a lot of just like jumping mecha missiles, arms throwing
It's tricky
explosions.
with Mortal Kombat ones because it's hard to figure out what's a move and what's like a grab,
Right.
or what's like a super thing that they do or something.
Yeah,
But they look really cool though.
apparently they were like in this universe the cyborgs are like voluntary. It's like their looks like their father was like one of the Lin Kuei and their mother was like this technologist who built the suits or something like that.
Yeah, they're more suits than they are they're more Iron Man type-y things than like being like forcefully cybernetic.
Yeah,
The way like a Terminator was. Kind of thing.
In fact, it's funny because I don't know if did you watch this whole?
I didn't watch this one. I watched the last one they did.
Oh, okay.
For Cyrax.
Yeah, at the end of this, they show off one of the fatalities. And it's interesting because it's pretty much just like what if Iron Man had a fatality, because she just like grabs the character and like zooms up in the out of the atmosphere and then like comes back down. But there's literally a scene with like the little Iron Man HUD and the person's face in the blackness.
It's
like
Borderlines is the ending of Iron Man 1 or that part of Iron Man 1.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fucking crazy.
I really wish I liked Mortal Kombat 1 more. I know that this comes up every time it comes up, but I just wish I liked it more.
I wish I loved it enough to want to buy this right away.
Yeah,
because that's the other thing. It's like $50 or something like that.
Pricey
to get this entire thing.
Well,
and I
with
just
the
don't know if I want
expansion
to.
and the season pass.
But they're all together is the thing.
Oh, okay.
Like there's no like just buy the Combat Pack 2 part as far as I know. But even if I did, I would still want it because I like the story stuff.
Yeah,
I want to play the story stuff. So.
Yeah. It's just it's really pricey as a like DLC story expansion.
Yeah, because I don't even think Aftermath was that much.
I don't think so.
I think it was only $40 for Aftermath.
It might have been, but it was so much further after the game had come out, and
it was way later on.
I liked that game more, so I was more interested in buying it. Like
Aftermath was great, and it had a lot of really cool things going for it.
Yeah,
and like it had the fucking actor from Mortal Kombat movie, Shang Tsung. It was great.
It was great.
Loved it.
Let's see. In other fighting game news, we got a brief character trailer for, is it Jin or Gin? Ichimaru from Bleach. This is the Bleach Rebirth of Souls.
Oh, okay.
I've consistently asked myself, should I watch Bleach? And everybody's like, well, like the first 4 seasons are good, and then it turns into crap. And I'm like, well, then I don't want to do that. That makes me sad when something is good and then it turns into crap.
Well, the issue with Bleach, because this is when I was watching it when it came out, was it was one of those animes that was made when the manga was still being made.
Right.
So it was just like, yeah, this is a really awesome fight. Yeah, we don't really know how it ends, so we're just gonna do a filler arc in the middle of it.
Oh, Jesus.
So it was like really annoying because you'd be like, oh, he's gonna fight the guy finally. It's like, yeah, but what about like this thing that happened like a month ago that has no bearing on what's going on now? You're like, well, fuck, dude.
I feel like we haven't seen that much for this game, though. I mean, it looks like a pretty solid arena battler, if that's what you're into.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it looks nice. Anime games just look nice now.
Yeah, it's hard to make them not look nice with the engines that they've made, because they've not mastered, but they've made so many of these that it's like easier to make that sort of idea.
Yeah.
But you still have to put a lot of work into making them look exactly the way you need, as well as getting all the references that you want,
right,
for fans to really love it.
This guy seems to have a lot in common. He seems to be a real like believer in Dongacles, because he's like a little sword that just keeps getting real big, big. So yeah, I don't know enough about Bleach to say one way or the other. I could say that it's a very flashy trailer, and I bet the people that are super into Bleach are as happy as you are about that about the Sparking Zero.
Oh, it's Sparking Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Sparking Zero. Very, very soon too, actually.
Yep. Yeah, I saw a thing that said that like the Dragon Babies show comes out the same day as the
Diamond
Sparking
starting
Zero.
the same day the actual release date is.
Well, here's something you're excited about. Well, maybe.
I am excited about it.
The Terry Bogard, we got the Terry Arrives Street Fighter 6 thing, but it's got all the retro costumes and stuff that you can put on your guy to make him look like old, dumb-looking Terry Bogard with the weird thing.
The one nobody cares about.
And also that guy with the kicks. He's got the headband and the shorts.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
It looks pretty solid.
It looks great.
Like as a thing. Are you going to dress up your Street Fighter like the Kmart Terry Bogard?
No, well, not that Terry Bogard, but definitely a Terry Bogard.
Okay.
It's going to happen. I got to give him a wig now, though, because my character doesn't have hair.
Oh. Can't you add hair?
You can, I assume. It's been a long time since I've touched it.
Yeah, okay. Is this what's going to get you back into Street Fighter 6?
It might for a little bit.
It's like Mortal Kombat DLC where you're going to play it for like an hour or two.
Yeah,
and
I'll play it for a little bit. Just fuck around with Terry. Try to make him my main again.
Well, there you go. Let's see. From there, speaking of dumb shit that Capcom has done, this is a really strange thing, Michael. They're putting in a DLC costume for the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster that makes Frank into Nemesis.
Okay.
And like
a really short Nemesis.
He still talks and stuff. Like he still has the Frank's lines, and it's not like he has a lot of like different weapons or anything.
Well,
he just looks like
annoying thing is it doesn't look like his mouth moves.
Yeah. It's not lip sync at all. Like it's obvious that they just had the costume from RE3 remake, and they were like, "Well, just fucking put it in there." I
Might
guess.
As well, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a strange. Like I think I would be more. I think it would make more sense if they had like a Leon Kennedy. I think it would make more sense if they dressed him up as Terry Bogard, obviously, than like Nemesis. Nemesis is a zombie, and Frank West is like a chatty motherfucker. Like
and you know, Nemesis isn't a chatty guy at all.
Right.
Like the fact that his mouth doesn't move is what makes it annoying.
Yeah.
Because like it's clearly there. I don't know. It's frustrating.
You know what? I saw in the little teaser, because they put out it's like a 15-second teaser. It would have been better if along with that they just did it so they went into the soundtrack files of Dead Rising and just made every voice line stars.
Oh yeah, that would have been really funny.
So that would be worth it. It would be interesting to do
be worth it.
full Nemesis playthrough where there's like, Frank, what's going on? Stars.
The zombies are getting in. Stars.
Are you gonna be okay down there? Stars. Let's see. Speaking of crossover fan service, Gigabash is getting a new DLC. Did you see this, Michael?
I did.
It's really interesting.
Matt shared it.
So you got two new characters, Balzar, who is basically like Goldar, but actually like a lion.
He's he's a chimera, according to Matt.
Oh, okay.
Because that was like what he was supposed to be, apparently.
All right.
And
then the other one is Rojak as like an acronym, and it's basically a Megazord.
It fucking looks great. He did like, for people who don't know, according to Matt, like the reason why they're their original designs is because they couldn't figure out the legal logistics to get the Power Rangers characters.
Yeah,
because the difference between getting Godzilla and stuff is that Toei has all that stuff, or that Toho has all that stuff across the world.
Right.
Whereas with Power Rangers, those copyrights are separate nowadays because of the Saban and all those guys and stuff like that. So they thought they feel like it's easier to just make our own characters and have to deal with that legal nightmare.
They did a good job. They got like some dinosaurs and some bugs and a few weird prehistoric stuff that all comes together to make a big robot.
They look great. Yeah, I actually think this is a better thing than just getting the other Megazord.
Yeah,
like I think that's way more interesting.
Yeah. Looks good. It's interesting to see that they're still doing. You kind of think to yourself like, well, you already did fucking Godzilla and Ultraman.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell else is there? And it's like, well, Megazord.
Yeah, some people are wondering if they'll get like even the weirder things like the King Kongs or the robots and those things. But who knows? Yeah.
I don't know. I always appreciate the craft of basically building your own Megazord. So, let's see. Oh, no, wait a minute. Michael, I have a retraction to make.
What's that?
I'm sorry. You remember when I was talking about the Visions of Mana and I said all the development staff were old guys?
Oh, yeah.
I was wrong about that.
Oh, really?
It's this game, Shadow of the Ninja Reborn, where this is like, and I think, okay, they talk about how this is like, it's a remake of an NES game, and I believe that game in the West was called The Legend of Kage, Kage. I think that's what it is. Because they did this remake of this game and they redid it from the ground up. This is the one that's all old guys. It's all the guys that made this original like NES game back in the old days, and they all like came together to remake this.
Okay, I remember seeing the first trailers for this at the time.
Yeah,
and we were trying to figure out if it was a remake or not. But yeah, those guys are definitely like
middle-aged or older. Yeah,
yeah.
That Kage, just Kage.
I think they probably, it might be Kage.
Yeah,
that makes them. That's a ninja.
I kind of remember that where it was like there were two ninjas. There was a purple one and an orange one.
I remember talking about that at some point, but I forgot about it entirely.
Yeah, and so this remake looks pretty good, and I was kind of down with it. But then like part of the pitch for the game was like, and it's so fucking hard. You'll never beat it. Can you even beat it? And I'm like, I don't want to try. I'm fine with not like beating it.
If it's got an infinite life mode, then sure. But
yeah. It looks like a good remake, though. Nice pixel art, very like flashy, very colorful.
I actually really appreciate when people remake these types of games because like remakes are nowadays are so like just like, what if we remade like a PlayStation 2 game?
Right.
So we need more remakes of like Nintendo and Super Nintendo games again.
Yeah. Ripe for remake.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's actually out. It came out last week.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Yep. Let's see. From there, this is interesting. So Harebrained Schemes, who has now been rebranded as just Harebrained, announced their new game. So for people who don't remember who that is, Harebrained Schemes, they made the Shadowrun games. They made the BattleTech like top-down strategy games.
Oh, okay.
And then they made the Lamplighters League, which horrendously failed.
Yeah, they didn't do so well.
And it looks like they disconnected from Paradox after that, rebranded themselves as just Harebrained. And then there's a big logo on this that's like Epic Game Store Mega Grant. Like they're actually starting to brand when they make a game, like when they fund a game.
That's
basically
actually kind of interesting.
And it's like a top-down, like, or kind of isometric 3D third-person action game. The big thing is that you can graft like pieces from other like characters onto your main character.
Oh.
But then in the press release, they talked about how like when you do that, you get like that characters like memories and like tendencies and stuff, and so your character might start acting differently because like you've grafted another human being onto them.
Yeah, they might be British and named Liquid.
Yeah, and it's like a weird cyberpunk game. It reminds me a lot of that. What was that? It was like the big like Mega Block game that was on the Xbox, right? Where you like had to go up the tower.
Oh,
like the
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking
Jason
about,
and
but
I
I don't
played it. I
remember
can't
the
remember
name
what
of
it's
it.
called, but
It's been a while.
kind of reminds me of that.
I can see that. I don't remember the name of it, guys. Like, you guys look it up because I think I can't remember.
It's like kind of a zombie game, but yeah, it's got that weird Epic Mega Grants thing on it.
Yeah, it's so big too.
I've never seen before. It's like this big.
like a badge.
What was crazy is what is in the beginning. It was like right before the trailer starts. It's like it has like the company logo and then like that.
Yeah, just like fuck.
So
Good for you, Epic? Question mark.
Yeah, no real details. Just a wish list. I'm interested. Apparently, it's going to be on the Epic Store. Obviously,
but at least they're coming out with it on Steam right away too.
Yeah,
because that was them fighting words, whether or not it was on one or the other.
That's very true. So yeah, that happened. We got the story trailer for the release of Yars Rising. That Yars. That
Oh yeah,
Yar game that's like a Metroidvania style game.
When you showed me the trailer, you're like, you'll never guess what this is for. And I genuinely could not guess.
Yep. And it's like it's being made by some other company and like Way Forward. And you remember when I said when we first saw it, I was like, man, the run animation on this game looks like garbage. Like it just doesn't. The animation does not look very good for like a Way Forward game.
Yeah.
And guess what, Michael? Still looks bad.
No, it still doesn't look very good.
Whatever they did, they didn't really fix it. Like it looks very just like I don't know. It's just very pedestrian. Like it doesn't.
It doesn't feel like they actually put that much work into the animations.
The weird thing about this though, the thing that really struck me about this trailer is so Michael, you're watching this trailer right now. You can see like what the main character looks like.
Yeah.
How old would you say the main character is? They're very kind of obscure anime, but like they're
17?
kind of short. They kind of look like a teenager, right?
Yeah,
like,
like
a teenager, young adult, maybe like 20, 17 to 20, something like that. So they get to the end of this trailer and they're showing off all this stuff. It looks very mediocre. I don't know. Apparently people I think I got a decent enough score, but just doesn't look very oomphy to me.
Yeah, it looks okay.
But then at the very end, they have this art, and the character on the art looks like a fucking adult woman.
Yeah,
and
it looks like a 30-year-old.
Why can't I play as? I would like to play that, not the like 17-year-old anime girl, but like like it's a completely different art style, and the lady looks like way older, and like
she looks like late 20s minimum.
Yeah, she's in a cool pose and everything. I'd rather play that game. Where's this game? I want to play that
so
game.
Weird. It's like clearly like. Yeah, they look like two complete. It looks like her mom, basically.
Right. The character itself looks like a baby, like a child.
Yeah, this doesn't look great.
Anyway, it's coming out September 10th this week, I guess.
Sure.
Whatever. I don't know. I just like I like the idea that Atari is branching out to try to like take some of their properties and make some interesting stuff with it. But this doesn't seem very interesting to me.
Yeah,
so
this isn't it, Chief.
Yeah. We got a trailer for a game called Kill the Shadow. I don't remember if this had been announced before. Kind of a weird, like gritty, like game where you've got like a main character that's a little bit of like a boozy detective, but they've also got like a weird dark spirit attached to them, and it's got like an action component to it, but then also like a time manipulation thing, and it kind of looks a little bit like a little Disco Elysium in the way that once you start talking, there's a lot of like interactions between stuff. But it's really weird to me, Michael, because it's mixing so many art styles that I hate it. Because like the environments are like full Unreal Engine 5, like realistic, but then the characters are all pixel based. But then the like talking to people is like comic book.
That's so weird.
It's like
it's too many things together, guys.
Several different art styles all put together, and I don't know. It looks like the kind of game that I would like want to like, but that maybe I don't know. Maybe it'll be okay. It's hard to tell exactly what it is. It also said that there's like an unprecedented level of like investigation. Like they show a part, we haven't got to it yet in the trailer. They show a part in the trailer where like he like touches like a dog that's like laying on a table and then is able to like rewind time back to where that dog came from in order to figure out how to like where they are from, and you can like put together clues on a big clue board. But then there's also he's got like a weird Cookie Monster demon attached to him that talks to you and stuff. And I'm like, what is this? You're telling me it's like it's everything, Jeff? It's just everything.
Yeah. Well,
like,
my other issue is that like they showed this one part of the game where it's like, oh, you can like interrogate them or attack them, but it showed him like hit the attack thing.
Yeah,
and it was just like a quick like him swiping and then the guy like going, but it was like not all that interesting because of it. I don't know. That's my issue with a lot of games where they're just like, we're just not going to do the animations that make the interesting thing interesting.
Yeah.
Especially because the difference between this and Disco Elysium is that Disco Elysium has, a lot of the, it's got all the, not silhouettes, but you know what I mean.
Oh, the internal monologue.
Like there's it's working in the fact that it isn't like full of like animation stuff. Where this looks like it was designed to like make it easier to do animation stuff,
right? And
it's like disappointing that like this guy getting shot right here is a good example where the guy like fires above the guy's head, and it gets shot in the chest, and you're like, what the fuck, guys?
I don't know. The thing is,
try to have some interesting stuff with that.
There's a game there. It's possible that it could be like a really interesting narrative game, but it's hard to see that in like a trailer. So,
well, but the problem is like I have to be interested enough to even want to start, that story kind of thing. Yeah, so, I don't know. That's my issue with it.
Kind of the opposite. This game, there's an announcement trailer, a reveal trailer for a game called Deliver at All Costs for the PlayStation. That's like a little bit of like a top-down kind of 3D game, and it's set in the 1950s. And you play as like a guy with a pickup truck with like a dark past, and it appears to be a game where you are like delivering stuff in a pickup truck to other places while the entire world around you is exploding, and there's buildings falling down, and there's like meteors coming from the sky, and like you're like going off the sides of buildings and like just running over everyone and everything. There's like people hanging onto your car. I don't know. It looks great to me.
Looks awesome. No, it looks fantastic. Like the fact that like it shows the weird shit you're delivering. Like one of them was just a giant ass swordfish.
Yep.
Like this looks fucking interesting.
Like in the back of a pickup truck. Like he was going up a side of a boulder mountain and getting creamed. And it looks like you can also get out and run around. Did you notice though the weirdest thing about this trailer, Michael?
What's that?
The upper right hand corner.
Oh shit! I didn't notice that. This is a Konami game.
I think it's being published by Konami.
What the absolute fuck?
I was like halfway through watching the trailer, I was so mesmerized by like what was going on in the trailer that I was like, "What the fuck?"
Didn't even occur to me. Yeah. Holy shit! This looks awesome.
Yeah, the end part of this has like you're trying to deliver a bomb, and there's a bunch of people that are trying to like run behind your truck and hit the bomb, and if they hit it too many times, like everything it explodes and just kills everybody.
This looks great.
I love it. I love what this game looks like. I mean, and the 1950s thing gives it kind of a destroy all humans kind of vibe.
Yeah, you can do a lot of fun stuff with that time period because everything's not safe in that point.
Yeah.
The OSHA is not really a thing.
Yeah, so I don't know. This was probably my standout of like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing, and I'm excited.
This looks awesome.
Yeah, excited to check it out. So, yep. Let's see. We also got the launch trailer for Sumerian 6. This is
this thing.
World War II weird arcana plus steampunk. There's also a werebear by way of me games that is not a me game, even though the fucking a lot of the iconography on here is exactly those games.
Oh, 100%. There was another game that we played that I remember us comparing it to at some point.
Shadow Gambit?
Yeah, I think that's
it was Shadow Gambit, Shadow Tactics, Desperados 3.
Well, no, it was the I don't remember if that. What was the one with the? It was also like a World War II-y thing.
Oh, was that Lamplighters League?
No, it wasn't that. What was that? Wait, was that Lamplighters League?
where you play as like the rough and tumble operatives that are like trying to knock out the guys and get the artifacts.
I think it was this one.
It's kind of got a little bit of that in it. I don't know. This game got pretty good reviews, and I was going to check it out, but I wanted something that was a little bit more like action-packed. And these games have never... I feel like they don't show very well on RageSelect.
No, that is the hardest thing about these games is they're hard to show correctly. And a lot of times when trailers are like, look at all this action, but when you play the actual game, it's like, well, you got to sneak behind the guy.
Right.
It's a lot of sneaking, and actually not that much murder.
I don't know. It's also published by Devolver, though.
That is interesting.
It looks like it's got a lot of ultra violence. Also, there's one part where the werebear like turns from man to bear and just like picks up a giant exploding barrel and throws at a bunch of Nazis. And I'm like, well, I do approve of that scenario.
That is fun,
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we might get to it at some point. I wish it was on like Game Pass or something so I could get like a better idea. I downloaded the demo, but I didn't play it yet.
Oh, okay.
So I guess the thing is seeing the action with the werebear. One of the things that like ended up being a little bit of a turnoff at a certain point for the Me games was that you would have characters that were action oriented, but it was never a good idea to actually get caught or try to like attack. It was always just like reload, do it on stealth.
Well, that was always the issue with these types of games that I always had. Even when I liked them, it was always just like, I can't just go balls to the walls with it.
Yeah.
Because everything goes wrong so fast when you do it that way.
Yep.
So, yeah.
We got the release date for Wingspan. This is a very popular board game about bird watching and bird sanctuary and stuff that's being developed into this game for the PlayStation. I mention this because there's somebody out there that is very into birds. I hate birds, but like
Android 16 is gonna love this.
Somebody out there is super duper duper into birds, and it looks like a well done adaptation of, again, I cannot stress this, a very popular like card game that you can play.
That's so weird.
Yeah, and that's coming out on October 11th. I don't know. Maybe we'll I don't know. Maybe somebody else should play it and not me, because I don't.
Sure, I guess.
Spend the entire time just talking about how much I dislike birds, but was it like a I don't remember where it was, but I told the story about, they were like, well, why don't you like birds? And I'm like, well, I was in a parking lot and like these birds attacked me. Is when I worked at Dell and like a million years ago.
Oh, okay.
Like some bird had like, I was in the parking lot and birds started dive bombing me. And I think it was a helpful commenter, and I'm sorry, commenter, I'm not trying to be a dick about this, but they were like, well, they probably had a nest. And I'm like, of course they had a nest. I can see the nest, but it's the parking lot where my car is. I couldn't be like, well, I shouldn't have parked in this bird sanctuary. It was a giant concrete parking lot with a billion cars. Get the fuck out of here, bird, or at least don't attack me, an apex predator who's trying to do nothing but walk from here to my car, get in, and then leave.
I would punch you if I could.
I'm not trying to eat your eggs. I'm trying to leave. You were keeping me from leaving.
Yeah.
You dumbass.
My favorite bird story is when I took Dean out for a walk. I just saw a couple birds just beat the shit out of one bird.
Just bullying bird bullies?
Yeah, I was beating the shit out of it. And I remember like shooing it away to try to like stop it.
Yeah.
And then the bird's like, the beat up bird was like, I'm gonna hide behind this air conditioner. And as soon as it like stopped, 3 more birds showed up and started beating the shit out of it.
Oh my god!
And I was like, what did this bird do to piss these motherfuckers off?
Maybe that bird was like a serial killer or something.
Yeah, I remember posting about it when it happened. I think Kat was just like, maybe it was fucking with one of the birds' nests, and so the other birds were just like, beat that guy up.
It reminds me of the what was that? Did you ever watch the Whitest Kids You Know?
Yeah.
There's that sketch where the guy's kicking the guy on the ground, and then that guy comes up and asks what he did, and then he tells him he like helps that one guy up and then throws the other guy on the ground, starts kicking, and then like just keeps going back and forth with that over and over again.
I love that show. It was so great.
Let's see. Shifting gears entirely to other flying objects, Star Trucker came out this week, so we got a launch trailer for that. This is one of them Game Pass games for this month, and it's exactly what it says. You're basically driving like a big rig truck with a bunch of like, a bunch of knobs and dials and stuff, but it's a space truck, and so you're space trucking from here to there. But it's got like I played like the first 10 minutes of it, and it's got like a CB radio, and you gotta like fucking, you can set cruise control, and you can like turn on the actual radio, which looks like a fucking it's got like the buttons to program your favorite tracks in. It looks like the dial radio from like an old like 1980s car or something.
That's so
like
fun.
that.
Yeah, I love that the dumb idea. I've always loved the dumb idea of like semi trucks in space.
Yeah,
I found out there's a Marvel character that's like straight up just a space trucker.
You know, it always reminds me of the there's a Cowboy Bebop episode, right, with the space trucker lady. I think that's the one. Isn't that the one with the he's got the exploding. There's like another guy, and he's got the little vials of like a super explosive.
Yeah, I think that was the
and he's
the
like
plot
puts
of
them
it.
in there, and then like trucks him out, and so it's Spike, and then like the big trucking mama lady.
It's been a while. I think that was that episode. If I remember correctly, that was that episode.
Cowboy Bebop, such a good show.
It's super good, and it's the cheapest it's ever been to be able to buy it and watch it. I think.
Really?
Yeah, because you used to have to pay up the ass to be able to buy that show.
Yeah.
Now you can just buy it for like $30 on Blu-ray.
Oh shit!
So I'm very happy with that.
Speaking of stuff that everybody should be happy to buy, No Man's Sky came out with yet another update.
Oh my god!
So the last update, they made all the water look really good, and now they've added fishing and skiffs and traps and cuisine that you can make with fish and underwater environments that you could dive down into with like underwater things. It's called Aquarius.
You've done it, guys.
It's a new thing.
You can rest. Stop it.
I just don't think they want to.
Give us money. Let us give you money. This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're actually not getting. It was ridiculous 5 updates ago.
Yeah, it was
minimum.
It was ridiculous like 2.5 years ago. Now it's just like I can't even stop them.
Like you guys not only made the game you said you were going to make originally.
Yep.
You've made probably 5 other games now.
Now it's got
worth
fishing
of content.
It's got fishing in it.
Oh my goodness!
And you can play it in VR. You can fish in VR on an alien planet if you want. Like, so, yeah.
Jesus Christ!
I really need at some point. You know, the thing is, we keep
just pick another one, guys.
Well, they are, but we keep talking about how it's like, well, you can stop now. But I'll be honest, Michael, I still haven't reinstalled and started playing the game in earnest for real, like to try to give it another shot.
There's too many things now. It got to the point where even if I wanted to go back, I'm like, there's too many things now.
Too many things.
Too many things.
You guys need to take some stuff out of that game.
Jesus.
And then last on the trailer, we got the launch trailer for that Astrobot game, which had the incredibly catchy Astrobot song playing.
100%.
Well, it did. It made me go listen to the soundtrack of the first one. You remember the first one had a whole song about your GPU called "I'm Your GPU" that talks about like making the graphics happen.
Are you talking about the PS5 one?
Yeah, the Astrobot, the one that was out there at PS5 launch.
Oh, that's technically the second one.
Oh. Yeah.
Because it was a VR game. People don't know.
Yes.
And it was a really, really good game even then.
Yeah. I like that first one though because it was all inside the PlayStation. Like it was all,
and it was awesome. It was just like, and it was like telling you how your PlayStation worked and everything. It was fucking fascinating.
Yep.
Goddamn Astrobot. If you guys have a PS5 and haven't fucked with it, you should.
Oh, this one's pretty cool. It shows a lot of different little powers that you can get. You turn a little mouse. You turn like a metal ball. And yeah, it looks like you're finding all the Astrobots, and it looks fucking great. Looks great. What more is there to say? There's little Astrobot cats. There's cameos from all your favorite Sony characters.
I think that's what makes me even more frustrated by that fucking that thing that guy said. We don't have any IPs, and they're like, dude, we just fucking spent ages making a game where we showed how many fucking IPs you have that you will not do anything with.
Yeah, there's a scene in this trailer where he's using the different Astrobots to climb up, and they all are together, and like roughly half of them are like characters from Sony games.
Yeah, who haven't had a game in a while.
Yeah.
So like fucking make another Ape Escape, guys.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Come on.
Do it. Just, go on and do it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited for this. I'm a little, well, I don't know. It comes out, so we're recording this on Thursday. It comes out tomorrow, but I'm not going to play it till next week.
Oh, okay.
So I have to kind of keep my powder dry on that one. But
the problem is there's too many games.
Yeah.
I don't have enough money for all the games and all the shirts in the world.
That's true. Well, stop buying the shirts. You got enough shirts.
But they announced the Dragon Ball set.
I know. You don't have to buy everything that's Dragon Ball. Buy one Dragon Ball shirt.
I might.
And Astrobot.
Just have to buy the Gundam game.
we also got the news that there's potentially an Astrobot. There's potentially a sequel. Now, this is a little cheeky. This was that the trophies got listed for the game, and the trophy that you get when you get all of them is earned all trophies, well done, and see you in Astrobot's next adventure, which is ambiguous, but could be setting up for something
That's
else.
super ambiguous, but we all know, when Rush Hour 2 ends and he says it's not coming back in Rush Hour 3, it took a long time for Rush Hour 3 to happen, so who knows?
We also got, this is a report kind of from last week, like late last week. The PS5 Pro might be officially announced within the next couple weeks. There's a leaker that has a good track record that said that they've got the inside scoop that within the next couple of weeks, we're going to hear the official announcement for the PS5 Pro, which would make sense because the holidays are coming up and we want to put it on the store shelves.
Is this the guy who drew a picture of it?
Yes. Yeah. It's got like weird fins on the side, or like vents.
Yeah, because it's kind of like similar to the current one, but it's got like 5 like things instead of like 2 or 3 or something like that.
Yeah,
but he says like according to, because I saw this in a YouTuber that I follow. Yeah, he was saying that I actually have images of this, but I can't share them because they're copyrighted.
Oh, okay.
And he would get struck down, so he drew it instead.
Right,
and it's a really good drawing. Don't get me wrong.
I'm pretty sure that just took a picture with your phone and then traced it.
Still though, it's like he could have easily made it like look stupid as shit, but he did a really good job with it.
Yeah. Let's see. Baldur's Gate 3's big patch is coming this week.
I saw my favorite tweet about this was that somebody is like, I'm putting my copy of Baldur's Gate 3 under my pillow and hoping that they'll announce patch 7, and then they did.
Yeah, so that's it should be out by the time you hear this. This is the one that has official mod support as well as a bunch of incredibly dark endings for bad characters. Yeah, that's fun. Like I won't say what they are, but like there's kind of one for regular dark, and then there's like several for the dark urge that are just like really kind of fucked up, which is good because there weren't any fucked up. The endings were tepid for the bad endings.
See, the worst ending is that he starts using AI.
Right. Right. But yeah, that should be out now, and I believe that's the last big patch for Baldur's Gate 3. Probably just doing maintenance from here on out. So
good for them. Yep. They've earned it.
We also got a bit of news as far as what's coming out for Game Pass at the beginning of this month. So Star Trucker and Age of Mythology are already out, as well as Expeditions, a Mud Runner game. But the 11th, Riders Republic is coming out.
Completely forgot about that game.
Very strange. And Train Sim World on the 17th. So apparently it's like it's a good month for traversal on the Xbox Game Pass.
That's fucking interesting, but sure.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a little bit of like a storm in a teacup about Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact was announced is coming to Xbox, but then it had like a little note on it that said that like Game Pass, and people were thinking it was like Game Pass was required to play co-op, even though it's like a free-to-play game, right? HoYoverse came out and clarified that no, like actual free-to-play games, you don't have to have Game Pass anything in order to play multiplayer co-op with people when Genshin Impact finally
I'm
comes
glad
out.
that started happening. And I know it happened because of Fortnite originally.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, a lot of people forget about this because Xbox used to be really stupid about this, is you needed an Xbox Live subscription to do anything. Even using Netflix, you had to have an Xbox Live subscription.
Did you have to have it for demos?
Demo
downloads
for everything.
Yeah,
and it was dumb. It was absolutely ridiculous. And then finally, people were like, "This is stupid." Yeah, because the first thing they took it off of was the Netflix stuff, but the first time they took it off of a game was Fortnite, as far as I know.
Okay,
and ever since then, free to play games have not had that requirement.
We talked about Marvel vs. Capcom being on the Xbox.
Very exciting.
The lead over at Atlas, the guy that's in charge of most of the Persona decisions, said he is open to at some point doing a Persona 1 and 2 remake, but like it is obviously not anytime in the near future. Like they're getting Metaphor Refantasio out, and then they have all but, well, there's been a lot of news stories about how Persona 6 is obviously in development. Yeah. So they'll probably end up going like full steam on that once Metaphor comes out next month, I believe.
That's super soon.
Sometime very soon. But the idea being that, like, at some point, maybe in the future, you'll be getting 1 and 2 potentially remade. Potentially.
Add those dick monsters and you got me in.
Yep. Well, the real question I have for you is, do you want them to remake it like a turn-based strategy PS1 game, or like remake it as like a full 3D like they did with 3 remake?
I personally would like them to just like make it kind of like PS1-y.
Yeah.
Like the way you would have done a remake on the PSP kind of thing. More, and I think it would, one, it would keep the spirit of it, and 2, it would make it easier on them.
Yeah.
Because if you did like a full one, I feel like at that point, then they're better just investing in another new one.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. There's a big... So Cyberpunk 2077 has a board game that they are currently working on, kickstarting. So it seems like one of them their real intricate board games. Michael, they put this on crowdfunding. They were looking for, I believe, $100,000. Can you guess, or did you already read the headline?
No, what were you gonna say?
How much it made?
How much it made?
How much it's up to right now? They want $100,000 for the Cyberpunk board game, and it's on GameFound. And
how long has it been out?
I believe a little bit. 2 days ago, this was published.
Okay,
so
then I'm gonna
couple
guess
days, 48 hours.
I'm gonna guess 800,000.
2.7 million.
What the absolute fuck? Okay, I was way off. Absolutely way off. Holy shit.
Now this is
It's because I'm like based on like other ones I've seen.
Yeah,
but like I forgot that Cyberpunk is still like a super popular,
big thing
going on.
Well, it's kind of interesting though that it has to be crowdfunded.
Well, that happens with a lot of these nowadays.
Yeah.
Even I don't know. It's weird that keeps happening. Like board games are just getting crowdfunded like crazy.
So it's interesting. It's kind of interesting game. I looked at it. It's like $80 for the base game, and then it's like $150 for basically the base game, and then all of the stretch goals.
Okay, that's not terrible. A lot of these are getting really high, and like I was talking to Randy about one that I thought was really cool. He's like, yeah, if you buy them all now, it would cost you like $400. I was like, fuck me.
And I don't know. I was kind of looking at it, but like I think it's like you can really only afford to have one very expensive hobby, but this thing comes with like a gajillion miniatures and this really beautiful board, and you play as like a crew where you play as V and Jackie and Panam and Judy, basically doing jobs, and like in between there's like a mission phase and then like a downtime phase. You can do all kinds of stuff to like kick gear. And
well, the issue with these types of board games is they're designed for like large groups that are doing this consistently,
right?
And I don't know enough people that I feel like I could be like, hey, let's do this one scenario and then do the next scenario next week kind of thing. It's like, it's just, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I'm saying it's harder to navigate a Cyberpunk night than it would be like any other
it also
board
looks
game.
Incredibly complicated.
Exactly.
Like, it's very complicated.
Well, like I said, that's why it's designed for like multiple nights kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to go through all of these scenarios in one night because of how complicated it is.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I thought about, I'm still thinking about it. I've got 15 days. I don't know. It's like, well, if you're going to spend $80 on a fucking tabletop game, you might as well spend $150 on a tabletop game.
Yeah.
Like,
especially if you really like Cyberpunk, this is already much for you.
Yeah.
And I did notice that it said this Johnny Silverhand is like an exclusive for this thing.
Yes.
And it is pretty cool looking.
Johnny Silverhand miniature. I don't know. It's such a big box. It's a huge box.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on my Metal Gear Solid board games, though.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
And I think that one's very similar when it comes to like scenarios.
There was that Bloodborne one that was supposed to be pretty good. I got a chance to play it, though.
I still see it every now and then at the Emerald Tavern.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's ridiculously expensive.
Probably.
All right, let's finish up with a few quick, fun things. Well, some fun, some not. So this is interesting. I don't know if this is still going on, but Squirrel with a Gun came out last week.
Uh-huh.
And part of that was... So for their release, you know how developers will put like the developer is live streaming this like above the thing?
Yeah.
Well, instead of that, they just put up like a live feed of like this it's called Backyard Buddies.
Oh my
and
God.
It's like just a bunch of squirrels, and there's like a big thing of nuts, and there's like a sniper rifle and a little RC car, and it's just fucking squirrels just eating nuts and hanging out,
Just
and
squirrels
like
doing
live action
stuff.
squirrels, not like the game squirrels. Oh, okay, this is a replay. But it's like a 3-hour stream. Like this was their launch stream for Squirrel with a Gun.
That's really fun though. I really love that because it's just like there's like guns and stuff laying around, but
Yeah.
it's not like the squirrels are going to grab it and start like pointing it at each
The
other.
big thing is they have like a little RC car, and they put a bunch of nuts in the RC car, and so they keep kind of going over and like looking in the RC car. And there's just like a big open Tupperware container full of nuts,
Yeah.
which I'm sure is like why you've got like 100 squirrels over
There's
here.
so many of them. It's adorable though.
It's pretty funny.
Mess with squirrels, Morty.
Yep. Also, I think I'm going to put it out there. If you're a super fan, listen to the end of this. People asked Amanda while we were playing Squirrel with a Gun was like full sequential, and I was like, well, we finished Deadpool Wolverine. Maybe ask the audience, and then everyone was like, yes.
I love that you keep calling it Deadpool Wolverine.
Well, I mean, Wolverine Origins or X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yes. Well, I've got Deadpool on the brain.
I
so.
know, it cracks me up because it's just like it makes me picture like what if that game was Deadpool Wolverine but for that time frame.
Oh, right.
So you're just using like weird X-Men Origins Wolverine Deadpool in a game, and I think that's fascinating.
Oh my God, we're so out of time. I'm skipping this one. This is interesting. There was somebody just finished a demake of King's Quest 6. So, Michael, you know these old like they call them what, like SGI games or something like that. SCI, Sierra Creative Interpreter, like the original like Space Quest and stuff like that. So King's Quest 6 was like on a new engine that was like a 32-bit thing, and it had like really nice characters and like better backgrounds and stuff. And so this one fucking crazy person was like, what if it looked like those old crappy King's Quest games and not like the new good ones? And then they spent like years making this, and they finally finished it. So
that's crazy.
They put it out, they did all the custom animations. Every so often they get tired of doing it and they would like stop doing it. I need to make sure if I can find, is there a link? Yeah. KQ6AGI.com is the website.
Good for you, man.
It's the full game, but done in the old, like they put in the text parser because you have to specifically type what you want to do
look
and
at that
stuff.
fucking guy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Good for you, question mark?
Yeah. It's kind of nuts.
This is what the internet was made for, though. I'm happy for him.
Like, if you look at here, if I do a search for this, you can see that like this is what King's Quest 6 looked like.
Yeah, it was really nice looking.
It was like they definitely upped the amount of pixels, and things looked a little bit better, nice like sprite work. And this guy went back and was like, but what if it was crappy? So
I love that like 40 years ago, if this guy wanted to do something this fucking weird, he would have to just give it to like his friends on a floppy disk,
right?
And they'd be like, why?
Yeah. Well, he said that he put it out there, and then like people were like putting on like hacked DSs and like recording videos of them running
amazing.
it like on because it's that Sierra engine. There's like engine emulators where you can then load it. So
that's actually really fun.
Yeah,
good for him.
And last but not least, if you are a fan of Silent Hill 2 but don't care for remakes, there's a team that was making this Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition, which is basically a mod that takes the Silent Hill 2 PC version and then it runs it in like 16:9, 60 frames per second, and they did their final update where they basically fixed like a lot of like screen tearing bugs and like weird shit that was in the background. They like added stuff to make the world look better, and now you can play through the entire thing. It you have to have a PC version of the game. Like it's basically one of those things where like
you have to own the game itself.
You have to own the game and then you'll mod it, but you know, I'm sure that finding a copy of Silent Hill 2 on the PC is not the hardest thing in the world to do.
Unless Konami makes it difficult.
But this is like the original, not the. I don't think this is a remake, right? Or
I don't think it's the re-release,
the
but I
remake.
don't know enough about that or not.
And they've added like some lighting enhancements. So if you're a Silent Hill 2 like crazy purist, then maybe go check it out because it looks good. And you can find it at what's the website for it? Just search for Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition. You'll find it. We're already over time. And with that, we're done. So, Michael, what did you watch last week? Anything good? You play anything good?
Play a lot of Fortnite.
I mean, where can the people find you when you're not over here?
You can find me on OneOfUs.net. We do a lot of movie television reviews. My last review was for Alien Romulus. There is now a review, though, up for Beetlejuice, if you guys are curious.
Okay. You'll probably hear from Michael. I think you're kind of dead set on trying to see that.
I want to see it. Well, the thing is, Beetlejuice is my favorite Tim Burton film.
Yeah.
And it was one of my favorite films growing up as well. Mm-hmm. And I did, ironically enough, watch the cartoon before I watched the movie when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited because I've always been a big fan of Beetlejuice. So, and I like Michael Keaton. I've always loved Michael Keaton. So if anything is going to be good in the movie, it will still be him.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you made it to the end of the podcast, you're a RageSelect super fan, maybe consider the Patreon, patreon.com/RageSelect. You heard it. Squirrel with a gun.
Yeah.
You see that squirrel? You see that gun? We're gonna see how much we can milk out of a squirrel with a gun. So do that. And now I can finally rest. So get out of here. Leave. Go take a nap. Go sleep. I'm gonna sleep. You sleep. Everybody sleeps when I sleep. Whatever. Bye.